one does appear as a reward. Similarly,
I'm just fixing
you
my
may find them
YouTube
in a
channel,
shop,
alright.
but they cost a substantial amount of runes that you could instead use to level up. Either way, it's just not a solution that makes up for the crippling detriment of not having someone
You
to
can buy weapon? Like, you see that shop? Ooh, there's the freaking perfume thingy, and I don't know what is this. Is it supposed to be like, you be able to carry more? Oh, look at all of those weapon, man. Whoa. Dude, it's a freaking horn.
Either way, it's just not a solution that makes up for the crippling detriment of not having someone to revive you if you go down. None of this is to say that solo play is outright impossible, and I have had a few successful runs on my own, just that the balancing of solo play feels like a job half finished, and as a result, the frustration of playing alone wasn't worth the triumph for me to have any desire to play it more without a squad. Night Rain's saving grace is that when you do have a squad of 3 people who all know what they're doing, communicate well, and are generally pretty skilled at Elden Ring, it really is a lot of fun. The central idea of taking an entire game's worth of progression and condensing it into a 40-minute run is a strong one. Going from cutting down rats with a basic weapon to culling Elden Ring's most fearsome bosses with a badass armament that you may or may not have gotten to use in the main game is one of the coolest and most satisfying parts. It's 80 plus hours of character growth condensed into less than an hour and shot straight into your veins. Dropping into a run the first couple of times is certainly overwhelming, mostly because of the amount of information on the minimap you have to process, but at least FromSoft keeps the inventory and stat management very simple. Level ups are automatic, letting you press a button at a site of grace to automatically level your class's preferred stats. And as far as weapon stats go, all you have to worry about here is the damage number, the elemental affinity, the passive bonus you get simply for having the weapon in your inventory, and the weapon skill that comes along with it. This meant when I had a choice between 3 rewards, I was able to very quickly make a judgment on what I needed at that moment and continue on my way. Eventually I started to understand what rewards were offered at which camps, which ones were quick and could be cleared before the circle closed in, which ones I should do only if I had a lot of extra time, what level I should attempt certain roaming bosses, and which bosses I should absolutely avoid unless my team was really confident in our builds. Exploring these areas can be more frustrating than it needs to be.
I don't know, bow, isn't bow like really bad in Elden Ring? If I remember, like nobody using bow, right, in Elden Ring, like in real playthrough.
To a new wall climbing ability, that just feels straight up bad. Especially when it takes 3 attempts to jump over what looks like should be an easily scalable wall as you're trying to escape from the encroaching circle. But learning the ins and outs of the map helped my efficiency and led to a very satisfying feeling of skill progression that wasn't tied to the actual progression system that offers persistent improvements between attempts. That system is tied to relics that can be won after completing a run. Whether you win or lose, you still get relics that can be won after completing.
Improved Dragon Cult Incantation. Wait a minute, hold up. Wait a minute. Ooh. Dude, what is this? Is this supposed to be like salmon thing? I think, like what? Oh. Wait. Is there actual dragon incantation? This is the cult one, right? I want the dragon incantation.
A run. Whether you win or lose, you still get relics, but the
Increase rune acquisition for self and allies. Oh, you could just make like a farming thing then? Increase rune?
better you perform, the better the quality and quantity of relics you earn. These can be equipped before a run and impart stat bonuses, starting skills or elemental affinities for your initial weapon, buffs for performing certain actions, and in some cases, they can even improve the skills of a specific class. When you're just starting out, these bonuses are hardly noticeable and too random to really make any sort of compelling build from, but eventually, with enough runs under your belt, you'll get some powerful relics that can really start to have an effect on your power level in a run. That said, there should really be more of an element of choice with regards to the meta progression, or at least a way to control some of the randomness. There are a small selection of relics that you can buy at the jar shop inside your base before runs, and there are set relic rewards for being Night Lord inside your base before.
Trigger Ghost Flame Explosion during Ultimate Art activation. Glow. Ghost Flame, I guess that's good. So it's gonna be Fate and Arcane.
runs, and there are set
In Knight of the Baron, Art gets feel moderately upon critical hits. Critical hits boost stamina recovery speed, improve critical hits.
relic rewards for being Night Lord bosses and completing class-specific objectives called remembrances, but other than that, you're completely at the mercy of the RNG gods when it comes to what relics you get. It can be really annoying when you're looking to strengthen your preferred class and you keep getting relics that just don't do anything for you. One of the biggest departures compared to what we're used to from Elden Ring is that the classes are now actual classes, with unique skills and gameplay styles, as opposed to soft classes that just determine your starting stats and weapons. And the 8 options are varied and well defined, with even the most basic archetypes having some interesting twists to them. The Wilder, for instance, is the general jack of all trades, but also has access to a nifty grappling hook that can be used to pull weak enemies towards you, zip yourself towards larger enemies, or simply zoom you around the field at high speeds if you aim it on the ground. In addition to the basic fighter, mage, and ranger archetypes, you also have a few completely unique choices that don't fit into any pre-existing mold. One of the most interesting classes is the Executor, whose main skill has you pulling out a unique sword with a Sekiro-like parrying mechanic tied to it. Basically, by blocking attacks with proper timing, you completely negate damage, don't lose any stamina, and reduce the enemy's own stamina, potentially opening them up for a critical hit. It's a very risky class, especially in a game where missing a parry can mean almost certain death, and it feels like the offensive power of the Sekiro sword is a little too weak to justify the risk of the parries, but I appreciate this inclusion nonetheless as both a nod to Sekiro and a completely different way to approach combat. As mentioned, each of the classes has a remembrance tied to them, which is essentially a collection of journal entries that chronicle the story of how they wound up in Limveld and their purpose for being there. It's a far cry from the rich lore that we're used to in FromSoft games, but at least each of the remembrances has a handful of playable chapters that have you completing specific objectives in order to earn powerful relics, as well as a healthy amount of runes to help you level up during the actual run itself. Almost all of Night Rain is made up of existing Elden Ring parts, but there are a few surprise bosses that are pulled from the Dark Souls series as well. But the 8 Night Lords are brand new, and oh boy, they're almost all unlike any boss FromSoft has ever designed before. Many of them are clearly inspired by MMO boss battles, with a number of party-wiping attacks that must be stopped or interrupted before they get a chance to finish their preparation. Others are designed to split the party up into roles to either hold aggro or press the assault, and some are just designed to be all-out wars against absurdly aggressive foes. They're almost all bangers, with only one of them being a dud, due to the best strategy simply being hanging back and pelting them with arrows for what felt like an hour. Still, 7 out of 8 is still pretty great, especially when those 7 are among the best From Software has ever created, with excellent accompanying soundtracks to match. I don't want to spoil them too much, but the fight against the Fisher and the Fog boss in particular is so good it gave me goosebumps all throughout. But the creativity of those bosses once again shines a light on the eldritch elephant in the room. They only really work as a team, and by far the 2 biggest issues facing Night Rain right now are 1. The shocking lack of crossplay, and 2. The absence of a duos playlist. If you play as a duo, you will be forced to fill the 3rd player with matchmaking. It is simply a lot to ask of a group of 3 people who all must have purchased the $40 game, play on the same platform, be of a similarly matched skill to be able to handle the extreme challenge of the day 3 bosses, have the time to devote 45 minutes per run, and also can agree on fighting the same boss that they may or may not need to beat for their own individual progression. There is a decent pinging system that at least makes it possible for light communication with a group of randos, but there's no built-in voice chat, which makes nuance like trying to communicate that your group should hit the basement of the castle instead of the front or side entrance virtually impossible. It's just a night and day difference when you're able to group up with a squad that communicates well and knows what they're doing versus when you've got one that doesn't listen to you or just constantly makes bad decisions, especially with no way to vote to cancel or quit out of a run without penalty. That makes the prospect of random matchmaking on the live servers pretty unappealing.
Let me guess. IGN verdict, it's probably gonna be 7 out of 10.
Elden Ring Night Rain is played exactly as it was designed to be played, It's one of the finest examples of a 3-player co-op game around.
7.
The 8 character classes are each fun to use and feature a surprising amount of depth despite their limited movesets. The new Night Lord boss battles are among the best FromSoft has ever crafted and make the most of the 3-player dynamic.
7
and
out of 8
the
was
fast-paced racing
something
and
for
plot nature of each
everyone.
run
Yes,
leads to exciting
Fuzzy.
moments of split-second decision-making.
This game
and
gonna
frantic
come out
rushes to
tomorrow,
try
so I will see what is it gonna feels like. Is it gonna be harder,
finish
easier?
up a fight
I
before
need
the
to
circle
see
closes in.
first.
But a lack of crossplay, duo matchmaking, and built-in communication tools makes it hard to create the conditions needed to have this kind of experience unless you're bringing 2 real-life friends on every run. And if you want to just play by yourself, I can't recommend it because of the poor solo mode balancing. All of this amounts to an ambitious spin-off that's exhilarating when you're able to create the proper conditions.
7.
and one
See,
that quickly fits
I told you, Fuzzy, it's gonna be 7. See, I can read their mind. I mean, everybody probably could read IGN mind at this point. Everything is 7.
incredibly frustrating when you're not.
Executive Reviews editor Tom Marks here with Mitchell Saltzman to talk about
Of course,
his review of
of
Elden
course,
Ring
it's
Night
7.
Rain.
Like, but like, is IGN like the most difficult task the self-fan will be finding 2 friends? Lol. No duos, crossplay. Oh yeah, there is no crossplay too. That kind of sucks, to be honest. Honestly, standard unsummon option for solo play and crossplay for multiplayer. Yeah, I feel like that would be better, right? If you want to play solo, just summon like NPC to help you to fight with you. This sounds like a complete nightmare to play with randos. After I finally made buddies to play with, I found out they were in different console. No voice is just completely dumb decision in game that are working together. Probably they doesn't want like in-game like voice chat, maybe because nobody don't want to be toxic to each other. Imagine if you die fighting a boss, the other guy probably gonna tell you, yeah, you're trash, dude. Come on, don't die, stop dying, fucking trash. Most people are solo. This hard to sell if we were able to beat bosses designed for multiplayer. With no crossplay, damn, that's about at this age of game. No crossplay, no duos, 4K review. Mean ad for the main game. Not getting this game until they add duos. It's ridiculous. I was cited. Yeah, I feel like it's really easy to fix, man. Just have a NPC like following you if you want to play solo. And then maybe you could just make, if you don't want an NPC, just like turn off the NPC option, like the summoning NPC option.
The Elden Ring Night Rain Collector's Edition not only contains a look at the 8th character that we know very little about, but also this art book that we can't show you because, well, spoilers. Of course, there's this super detailed statue of a Wilder. Fingers crossed we get statues of the other 7 Nightfarers as well. The Collector's Edition also includes these super cool tarot cards for all 8 Nightfarers. The Raider, Wilder, Guardian, Iron Eye, Duchess, Recluse, Executor, and the mysterious Revenant. We also have this gorgeous steelbook that you can put the game disc in. Yes, we have an actual disc for the game. The Collector's Edition also comes with the future DLC, as well as a digital code for the soundtrack. Are you picking up the Elden Ring Night Rain Collector's Edition? Let us know.
How much is a collector edition? Like I never in my whole life ever buy like a collector edition. By the way, Vamsi, how are you, man? Is there anything else? I guess let's see. Playlist and then react.
Lagi viral di medsos, seorang bule
Not that. Uh, I don't have anything, man, to react. I mean, I have some, but it's basically like I'm not really interested to watch it right now. Been a little sick and under the weather, so I like just been sleeping the whole day then, Wamsi. Ah, dude, people still playing Dragon Nest? Hmm. I don't know. I don't. 8 months later, Black Me Mukong after the hype, the game is really good. I still don't know how Brad Pitt Wukong didn't even win Game of the Year. I think it was what is it called? The PlayStation game. I forgot, like Astro or something. Like, yeah, I think it's Astro.
On March 28th, tremors from a distant earthquake in Myanmar shook Bangkok. Out of hundreds of buildings, only one collapsed. A 30-story tower under construction meant to house Thailand's state audit office. With the structure too unstable for machinery, rescue crews dug by hand. As of April 11th, the toll stood at 27 dead, 9 injured, and 67 still missing, according to the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration. Among them is a 17-year-old girl on her first day of work. This man traveled from Ubon Ratchathani.
Wait, what? What do you
wrote
mean?
MP,
Oh.
Dr. Tosaporn Serarak in a Facebook post.
So this is what is this? Is this Myanmar or something?
He stood at the site for 13 nights, waiting for news about his daughter. It was her first job in Bangkok. The building collapsed on her first day. He had come to Bangkok with hope, waiting day after day for news of his daughter buried
Wait,
beneath
when
the
is
rubble.
this happened? 1
But while
month ago.
families like his stood vigil, others moved in the shadows. Just one day after the collapse, 4 Chinese nationals were caught sneaking into the restricted zone, attempting to retrieve confidential documents, including construction files, inspection reports, and contractor.
I still don't know why people like storing their files still like a paper like this. Why not like online? Just store everything, all the data online, because I never gonna believe. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm really skeptical because this is so easily manipulated and hiddenly, like silently manipulated. At least if online, you get a record if somebody like tamper with it.
IDs. Authorities say the materials could be crucial to understanding what went wrong. Why did only this building fall? And why the rush to erase its paper trail? This wasn't just a collapse. It was the moment a construction failure became a corruption scandal. On March 31st, Thailand's Ministry of Industry released test results showing that steel bars collected from the collapsed State Audit Office building failed multiple national standards. Lead investigator Thitipas Chodachachinan confirmed that the steel failed tests for mass, chemical composition, and stress endurance. The bars bore the brand Sky, produced by Shinkei Yuan Steel, a company registered in 2011 with 80% Chinese ownership. Critically, the steel originated from a factory in Rayong province, which had been shut down by Thai authorities in December 2024 after a gas tank accident and multiple safety violations. At that time, officials seized over 2,400 tons of steel from the premises.
Dude, I still, oh my god, this is fucked up. So basically, they're keeping out on their product, you could say. I feel like they should be in jail at this point, right? I mean, like, everybody should start suing them.
Thitipas told reporters.
And then how many building they already make from previous building? It's not gonna be like the only building. There's no way for a big company only have like one building its whole life. Like,
We can prosecute
probably
any
should check all the
manufacturer and
building
seller of
they
substandard
make
products.
before too.
We will also inspect the factory to ensure it has not violated the shutdown order. Photos circulating online show concrete slabs and rebar separating entirely, with no bonding visible between steel and cement. In proper construction, steel bars are meant to integrate with the concrete to resist structural pressure. But in this case, the rebar looked almost loose, suggesting low-grade cement, improper reinforcement placement, or rushed curing. In the words of one analyst, the main column on the first floor fractured as if it had been overloaded by gravity. The collapse had no resilience. The steel used was DB32 and SD50 grade, which according to Thai regulations is inappropriate for high-rise buildings. These types are known to have hard outer layers and soft interiors, making them prone to cracking under stress, especially in seismic events. Further investigation revealed that the steel bars had been rapidly cooled, a process that may increase brittleness. Bars were marked with T symbols, indicating they had undergone quenching, which can result in inconsistent strength and premature failure. The evidence suggests that substandard materials were not just present. They may have been central to the collapse. Structural red flags before completion. While search teams continued digging through the ruins of the
Building is
collapsed
not
State
even
Audit Office
finished yet,
tower,
by the way.
investigators began assembling a picture of what may have gone wrong, long before the earthquake hit. Although seismic waves triggered the collapse, early evidence strongly suggests
You see, like everything is still like concrete. There's no like glasses and whatnot. And then why is this blue? I guess it's like a netting or something. I know some building like using those kind of thing.
that design decisions, construction shortcuts, and a flawed procurement model may have set the stage for disaster. According to statements by Thai officials, the building was only 30% complete at the time of collapse. Despite its early stage, it had already progressed to the curtain wall installation and interior finishing phase, a sign that structural work was largely done. Industry insiders raised concern about the design methodology. The building reportedly used a core tube and pre-stressed beamless slab system, an approach that reduces the need for load-bearing beams and saves interior space. But this method carries inherent risks. First, it relies entirely on the columns and floor slabs to bear vertical and lateral loads. If just one column fails, there are no beams or shear walls to redistribute weight. Next, pre-stressed slabs require precision tensioning, secure grouting, and slow curing, none of which tolerate shortcuts. An eyewitness said, "The building collapsed vertically rather than tipping or cracking. It disintegrated in seconds with no resilience left." While the earthquake may have triggered the fall, the building's collapse was engineered long before the tremors reached Bangkok. Investigators have turned their focus to one key question. Was this structure ever capable of standing at all? A structural engineering expert from Imperial College London put it this way: "From the shared footage, the collapsed building in the video follows this very problematic design and combines it with extremely slender columns that are more prone to failure. A thorough forensic analysis is needed, but this building type is no longer recommended in earthquake-prone areas." This is not just a hypothetical concern. In June 2021, Champlain Towers South in Surfside, Florida, collapsed, killing 98 people.
Oh yeah, I think this is because of the swimming pool, right?
Investigators discovered extensive corrosion, structural instability, and insufficient redundancy in the beamless design, prompting global scrutiny of such structures. So, how did we end up here with the State Audit Office Tower? What made this project a flagship of such an ambitious initiative? The building was constructed by a joint venture between Thailand's Italian Thai Development PLC, ITD, and China Railway No. 10 Engineering Group, CREC No. 10.
What? It's a railway company. What the fuck are they doing even building?
The partnership, known as ITD CREC 10, won the government tender in 2020 to build the 2.1 billion baht headquarters for Thailand's State Audit Office. This was billed as a key example of China's Belt and Road Initiative in Thailand. China Railway No. 10, a subsidiary of China Railway Construction Corporation, was chosen to handle the structural implementation. But as the project progressed, signs of rushed timelines, cost-cutting, and growing concerns started to surface. According to statements from Mana Nimit Mongkol, chairman of Thailand's anti-corruption organization, the Audit Office project had been under scrutiny as early as January 2025 due to severe delays, labor shortages, and suspected use of substandard materials. He revealed that his organization visited the site multiple times and found that the number of on-site workers was far below the required amount. Construction progress was slower than expected, but paradoxically, signs of rushed finishing work began to appear. As deadlines loomed, it's likely that contractors attempted to accelerate progress by cutting corners, removing temporary supports too early, undercuring concrete, or rushing grouting and pre-stressing procedures. All of these are high-risk shortcuts in high-rise construction, especially in buildings relying on beamless slab systems.
I mean, isn't it, if you like see it from positive side, at least the building is not finished yet before it collapses.
Where structural
So there's not like 100 or 1,000 people like go in there and then it's collapse.
tolerance is narrow.
Even though there's still like some people like didn't survive this, but at least it's not gonna be as much if it's like finished.
Mana stated that there may have been a rush to finish, which led to neglecting construction quality. But these warning signs aren't new. They fit a familiar pattern seen in other large-scale projects built by Chinese state-owned contractors, particularly those operating under the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. In China, such projects are often referred to as tofu dreg projects, structures that appear sound but crumble under real-world pressure. The phrase became infamous after the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, where hundreds of school buildings collapsed due to thin rebar, poor quality concrete, and rushed construction. Critics argue that China's overseas contractors export this exact model abroad, offering low bids using Chinese material.
Why is it only China though? I'm not trying to be racist here. Probably other country probably do this a lot, right? But we hear a lot from China though.
Materials and labor, and prioritizing speed over structural integrity, often under the assumption that regulatory scrutiny will be weaker. The signs in Bangkok echo that model. Steel sourced from a blacklisted factory, rebar that failed national standards, construction timelines manipulated, and on-site worker shortages followed by last-minute acceleration. A construction expert said, reducing material cost is essentially a polite way of saying using substandard materials. Improving efficiency often means cutting procedures. When a project designed
That's stupid. That's really stupid. China is not regulating a lot that doesn't concern the Chinese state. I mean, dude, Vamsi, they even built like a tofu building in China. What do you mean?
to house
They
Thailand's
even
audit
built like a really weak structure in China.
authority collapses in this fashion, it doesn't just raise technical questions, it raises the political one. Was this building ever safe to begin with? Or was it doomed the moment it followed the blueprint of a system that rewards speed and silence over strength? That's why Thailand launched a special investigation. On April 2nd, Thailand's Ministry of Justice officially escalated the State Audit Office collapse into a special case, transferring jurisdiction to the Department of Special Investigation, DSI. The announcement, made by Justice Minister, marked a turning point. What began as a structural disaster was now being treated as a possible criminal conspiracy. The decision followed growing public pressure, reports of falsified ownership structures, and mounting evidence that foreign contractors may have bypassed Thai corporate law through illegal nominee arrangements. According to Lieutenant Colonel Yuthana Pradam, Director General of the DSI, preliminary findings revealed that Thai nationals listed as shareholders in companies linked to the collapsed project lacked the financial.
Like, dude, I really want to know though, are they gonna get jailed or are they just gonna pay for all of the damage and then just walk away like that? Like, I wish they will show us like what is like the aftermath, what's gonna happen to the company. Usually, if it's like a normal company, usually if this happen, they're gonna go bankrupt because nobody gonna believe them to invest like 2 billion baht. I think I don't know. I don't know like the currency over there.
Capacity to actually hold those shares. This strongly suggests a nominee structure, a method used by foreign companies to circumvent Thai ownership restrictions.
Yeah,
which
they definitely gonna lose ton of money, but are they going to jail or not though, Vamsi?
Foreign holdings to 49% in many sectors. While not illegal in itself, using nominees to hide true control violates Thailand's 1999 Foreign Business Act. Lieutenant Colonel Yuthana stated that evidence suggests foreign nationals may have dominant control over operations through joint venture agreements. These Thai shareholders are also connected to at least 3 of 13 affiliated companies involved. China Railway No. 10, Thailand, is under investigation for allegedly using Thai proxy shareholders to establish local corporate presence, while remaining de facto controlled from China. But the inquiry doesn't end there. The DSI confirmed that the contractor behind the audit office tower, ITD Krek 10, was previously awarded 10 other Thai government projects. Those contracts, awarded through public tenders, are now being reviewed for signs of bid rigging, collusion, or procedural fraud. DSI spokesperson said that the investigation will cover how the construction contract came about. This includes potential violations of the 19...
Yeah, isn't that kind of fucked up though, Vamsi? I mean, imagine that you build something and it break and then it actually kill people and you could just pay them off and not go to jail. Man, the world is fucked up. You literally could just remove your crime by paying. So...
99 Act on offenses related to the submission of bids to government agencies. So what began as a building collapse is now a nationwide probe, with all parties in the joint venture summoned. The DSI is working with the Royal Thai Police and Ministry of Industry to trace the money, the materials, and the accountability. As the investigation deepened, public scrutiny intensified, but the key players remained silent. China Railway No. 10 Engineering Group has not issued any public response, even as images of
Of course, like these people not gonna respond with anything. They know they are at fault. They're hoping people will forget about it so we can move on. That's probably their play. I mean, like most company probably do that, right? If they doing something horrible.
rated rebar, pancaked concrete, and deleted online records spread across Thai and Chinese social media, the state-owned contractor has declined all media inquiries. Instead, the Chinese embassy in Bangkok issued a statement on April 1st, expressing condolences and affirming its cooperation with Thai authorities. The embassy emphasized that Chinese companies operating abroad are instructed to comply with local laws, and confirmed that rescue experts and equipment
I guess they're not like following the local laws. I mean, even though they are freaking tell to comply, but I guess they're not doing it. Like, what the fuck?
had been sent from China to support ongoing efforts. The embassy also said that they believe the investigation will lead to scientific and fair conclusions. Meanwhile, the ITD Krek 10 joint venture released a short statement urging the public to await the results of official inquiries, insisting that all construction had followed proper procedures and relevant laws and engineering standards. No representative of the Italian Thai Development Company has spoken publicly, as investigators zero in on construction shortcuts and possible corporate fraud. A broader question has begun to dominate Thai public discourse. Why was this building funded, designed, and partially built by a major Chinese state-owned enterprise, the only one in Bangkok to collapse? The answer may lie not just in faulty rebar or weak concrete, but in a development model that has drawn global criticism for years. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. Launched in 2013, the BRI was envisioned as a vast infrastructure plan to boost China's global influence by exporting its capital, labor, and industrial overcapacity. In exchange, recipient countries receive roads, railways, ports, and increasingly skyscrapers. Thailand formally joined the BRI in 2017. The State Audit Office building was one of the highest-profile symbols of this partnership, built by China Railway No. 10, a subsidiary of China Railway Construction Corporation.
I still don't get it though. Why is a railway doing like
under the ITD Crec 10 joint
What
venture.
can they do? Make
But
a
now,
freaking train inside like the building?
It's being cited as a case study in the risks of outsourcing national infrastructure to foreign state-backed contractors. This approach might keep bids low and deadlines short, but it outsources the risk too. The steel used in this building failed basic safety tests. The construction was plagued with labor shortages, and when it all fell apart, the digital footprint of the project was erased from Chinese platforms, suggesting not transparency, but evasion. In April 2024, China Railway No. 10 held a topping-out ceremony in Bangkok, celebrating the completion of the...
Dude, I always advocate, Vamsi, if somebody trying to hide the evidence, destroying it, that means they actually own up with that their fault, or more, because they destroying it, right? So they basically hiding everything what they do. I advocate to punish them as harsh as possible with like the most freaking violation they could get.
tower's structural frame. Company banners flew.
So it will like make people don't want to destroy the evidence, right? Isn't that like
Speeches
smart?
praised Chinese engineering excellence, and domestic media platforms amplified the milestone as a triumph of the Belt and Road Initiative. But following the collapse, the narrative shifted. Chinese engineers began claiming the building was only 30% complete. The discrepancy was glaring. If China Railway No. 10 had already topped out the structure nearly a year earlier, why was the project, by their own account, still less than halfway done? Was the topping out ceremony simply for show? Or is this 30% figure now a convenient way to deflect accountability? As scrutiny mounted, something unusual occurred, not on the ground, but online. Chinese platforms began purging content related to the building. Posts from state-linked media like PhoenixNet and NetEase disappeared. China Railway...
What? Didn't they know about like if it's like if you upload something on the internet, it's gonna stay in the internet forever?
No. 10's official
Can they
Weibo
actually
account
like delete
went
it
silent.
though?
Search results for the Bangkok collapse or China Railway No. 10 returned little to nothing. Public questions on Chinese forums were quietly erased. One user asked, "Your building just collapsed. Could you at least acknowledge it?" The comment was deleted minutes later. What remained was a carefully sanitized timeline, stripped of context, memory, and responsibility. It was a digital cleanup operation, consistent with China's well-documented playbook: deny visibility and the crisis disappears. But this isn't the first Belt and Road project to end in controversy. In Sri Lanka, the government handed over control of Hambantota port after defaulting on Chinese loans. In Pakistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has become a flashpoint of delays, rising debt, and armed attacks on Chinese workers. In Kenya, Chinese-built railways have been dogged by opaque contracts and cost overruns. In Indonesia, a CRCC-led high-speed rail line ran billions over budget. And in Laos,
Oh yeah, the train, Indonesian train. I don't even know it was over budget.
China-backed dams and railways have sparked environmental concerns and accusations of regulatory neglect. These projects began as symbols of Chinese ambition. But one by one, they've exposed the real cost of outsourced infrastructure: debt, delays, discontent, and, in Bangkok's case, disaster.
After watching this, it's kind of scary now to take the train because
Days after the collapse, a majority of Bangkok residents told pollsters they now doubt the safety of government buildings altogether. In a recent survey by Nidapol conducted just days later, nearly 80% of 1,300 respondents said they had little or no confidence in government office buildings and government residential buildings. 49% said they were not very confident, while 31% said not confident at all. Reactions in Thailand and beyond have been swift and cutting. The term tofu dreg project, once used to describe shoddy schools in Sichuan, has now been repurposed for a collapsed high-rise in central Bangkok.
I feel like it's a bad thing, right? Maybe if your own country you're doing this, maybe you still can like silence it, like silence the people because they're living in your country. But if this happened like outside their country, it's basically like you're representing your country in other country and start building and then it collapse. I feel like it's a bad thing to happen, man.
On Chinese forums and Western
I mean,
media
if
alike,
I were China, I probably tell them like don't cut cost cutting, or like make it better, like a good building, so you're not gonna shame our country.
one line is being shared again and again. China looks like a global superpower, but if it collapses, it might fall just like this building. One shake and everything crumbles. That's all for today's episode.
Oh god, but imagine you're like inside here though. Oh god, that gotta be super scary. But looks promising. What is it? What is the video? What is it, like gaming or something else, Flimsy?
That's all for today's episode. But before YouTube sends you down another random rabbit hole, check out this video I made on China's mysterious missing population.
By the way, I don't know about you, Flimsy, but is it true about like China used to like eating babies? Like in my high school, it's probably a lie, but I just want to make sure. Is it true or is it not true? Giving. What is it? What is it? Benar, pesawat presiden. Oh, French coming to Indonesia. Ooh. French president. It's in my Discord. Or what is it about? Where did you send it? Vamsi. Where did you send it, man? Link? Okay. Deepest game are dumb.
Video game design is a highly intellectual activity, and the greatest games of all time are created
Oh god, it's 34 minutes. I'm just gonna watch like half of it, Vamsi.
by enlightened geniuses who understand the nature of technology as well as human psychology, right? Well, that does seem to be the predominating view of how game design works in today's modern context, where instead of being a gang of scrappy, shaggy-haired artists like the medium's pioneers, instead today's game developers are technological philosophers who view the peak of game design as psychologically manipulating player behavior like rats in a maze. Welcome to modern design. It's high level, it's philosophical, it's highly educated, it knows the intimate details of your brain. It's meta and aware of its own awareness. And it's also shallow and awful. How is this possible? How could the smartest group of game developers in existence, articulate, constantly talking millennials, and I can say this since I am one, be so bad at game?
Oh, are they like wait, how old is this video? 3 weeks ago. Are they talking about like what is it called? A marathon? Because that's Bungie. It's freaking Bungie right here.
Design.
Beyond
Like there's
like
this great,
well,
I don't know, maybe it's apocryphal Miyamoto quote that a delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game is bad forever. But we found that once you're in a train station mindset, you actually need to have almost the completely opposite approach. Because a delayed
I guess this is proven wrong because a lot of people like playing early access game. Basically like dude, I really hate early access game. Basically we're paying for something that isn't finished yet. Man, I wish there's like a lot like preventing people to upload like early access game.
train doesn't just hurt that train. It potentially causes cascade failure and chaos in the entire station.
Especially if you're like a triple A developer, yeah, no man, no. Maybe if you're indie, maybe I still can like, yeah, sure, indie, because they doesn't have the budget, they probably like asking people the money so they could like continue building. But for triple A with billion upon billion of dollar, the money they have, no.
Whereas the reality is today, a bad game can be fixed. And like, I hope y'all are hearing the point that I'm trying to make here. Like, I'm not trying to dunk on Miyamoto. I'm not trying to say the quality isn't important. But like that earlier point about velocity, it's that you don't get the quality on a service through perfectionism or through heroics and overextending yourself in any one given moment. That is train thinking. It's not station thinking. Instead, you get to quality one train at a time.
And yet most of the greatest games ever made were created by these Chad Gen Xers who are often college dropouts or shiftless dreamers. It's because deep game design is dumb. And yes, I could use more flattering words like elegant or simple, but those words have been co-opted into modern design to stand in for automation. So if you tell a modern developer to make a simple or elegant game, that's understood to mean make an automated game. What is more simple and elegant than a game that plays itself, right? Dumb is the most potent word because it is the fear of the modern developer. Modern devs, if you listen to them and how they talk about game design, want nothing more than to be seen as smart, intellectual experts.
Oh yeah, there's another game that's really bad in my opinion. The one that a phone game. Basically, you're just leaving the game to run itself. Like, it's so stupid, man. What the fuck?
In their field. Any risk of dumbness is a critical threat to their reputation and self-esteem. In fact,
Ideal
given the
gaming.
choice,
Yeah, let the computer play for you. You're just watching. It's basically you're watching a video at that point, man.
between being seen as evil or dumb, modern developers would choose evil.
Hello, I'm here to talk about monetization. It's Let's Go Whaling. It is about a summary of a huge
Monetization.
bunch of behavioral psychology. So the tricks on how to monetize a game well. Some of you will probably
Top grossing mobile games is 1.8 billion. 1.5 billion Monopoly Go.
be slightly shocked by all the tricks I have listed here.
How much money have you spent on Monopoly Go? Dude, I never even play Monopoly Go. Is it like it's a phone game, right? I mean, it was like a top mobile game.
But I'll leave the morality of it out of the talk. We can discuss it if we have time later. So let's dive right in.
Which is why intentionally shallow design is a constantly increasing trend. Smart games create dumb players, dumb games create smart players. So as the games get smarter, the players become dumber. And to keep pace with the constantly decreasing literacy of modern players, the games need to be smarter and smarter and smarter. I say this as half of a joke, but pretty soon we will see fully automated games being championed. Games that will literally
Dude.
play...
You know, Vamsi, looking at this, the first thing that popped up into my mind, why is Armored Core 6 not getting an update like this? Even Taken 8 have so much update. It's like update every month. They basically get update every month. Armored Core, oh yeah, it's just patch, and then it's gonna be like every like 3-4 months, and then that's it. Like, this
themselves.
is so sad.
We're borderline there now, but I wouldn't be surprised if
I don't want the update to Armored Core. Why? Because you need to like restart your modding again if they update it.
we actually cross into that territory. So what I mean by dumb are 3 depth-critical aspects of game design that are now systematically eliminated in the fear that the developer would seem dumb, unaware, and outdated. These 3 criteria are 1. True checkmates, 2. Oppressive states with unclear solutions, and 3. Imperfect tools that will ultimately result
So what
in
is
failure.
that like update due to Tekken, Vamsi? Why you say it's
If
the
you are a
worst
good
one?
little game dev straight from university, you are smart enough to recognize these dynamics of game design and insecure enough to eliminate them.
Controlling the camera itself with the right analog stick in the heat of battle is an added complexity this time that we needed to help make accessible for a wide audience looking to play an action game. We tried to find a solution for tracking enemies without relying on the player to constantly manage the camera by implementing our own version of a camera strafe assist. The camera will automatically try to adjust and keep relevant targets and threats in view when the player moves left or right. We also eventually added a behavior to reorient the camera automatically in the direction of Kratos' attacks to ensure that we reduce frustration for players struggling with controls. As many of you likely know, anticipating the player's intentions with how they wanted the camera to behave is a difficult task, and we didn't always get it right 100%.
This is why modern games cannot be deep, because the developers intentionally kill their depth for the sake of the game's smartness.
I'm dumb, but I'm smart.
So let's get into the analysis, beginning with true checkmates. True checkmates are states in a gameplay session where once you get into that situation,
It's over.
you've lost. You have no choice but to watch your death and accept it. There's no comeback mechanic, there's no iframe dodge or parry. You are dead and you're going to watch and accept your own death. The reason why that's so very important
Movement
is
better.
without
They give every character move that made moving impossible just across screen. Sidestep, tracking, kill, move that were plus on block.
true checkmate scenarios, you cannot have meaningful phases in a gameplay session. Think of chess, the early game, the mid game, the late game. But if you have a way to always avoid the checkmate, there is no early game, there is no mid game, there is no late game. It's just the same game all the time because you can always find a way out. And so what you did at the beginning of the playthrough does not affect what you do at the end. Decisions cannot build on top of each other. Consequences cannot gradually increase and evolve, which is the whole concept of depth. But if your gameplay...
I mean, does Elden Ring like count in this? Because you know, if in Elden Ring you died, you're gonna lose rune, and then if you died again, you're lost your rune like forever, right? I don't know. Is that count?
session is one static experience that's shallow. You cannot go that far because as long as you master iframe dodging your way out of problems or parries or doing whatever comeback mechanic they have, that will work. You don't need to learn the early game. You don't need to learn the mid game. There's none of that depth there if you can avoid the checkmate. And arcade games, really old school style arcade games, all still end with an actual death checkmate. But as games have become more progression based, the checkmate has faded further and further from existence because that gets in the way of progression, right? You can't have Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. You get into the water dungeon and they have a checkmate style situation where maybe if you use the keys in the wrong doors, you run out of keys and then you would have to reset your save file or something. That is not acceptable. That is not allowed because that screws with progression. And what they've become is they've become like a Rubik's Cube, where on the surface, it seems like there's a lot of complexity. Like the first time you buy a Rubik's Cube and you look at it, you're like, oh my God, this is such a...
So like Fortnite? So it doesn't count if it's like Fortnite. So it needs to be like online then.
Sophisticated, complicated bit of design. But over time you realize the Rubik's Cube, not only does it have no failure state, you can't fail a Rubik's Cube, where you'd have to like take it apart and put it back together or something. And then on top of that, once you learn the sequence, you just need to turn it using a few bits of information. You plug them into
you know what? You know what good example game it doesn't count as this? Kingdom Come Deliverance. So if you do like a crime, you're gonna get jailed. If you do like multiple crime, you're gonna get hanged. You're basically like dead. And I mean, you still could like just use like previous save, but it still count, right?
static algorithm, and then boom, there you go. You have
That's why a lot of people like Kingdom Come Deliverance.
the answer. That is how modern game design works as well. You never fail, you just need to keep turning the pieces. So one solution to checkmates in a single player game is permadeath, and I've talked about that in previous videos, but permadeath is just the beginning, because once you get to the end of the game, even in a permadeath game, you've kind of reached a static conclusion. You've either won or you've lost, and there isn't that granularity of skill expression that really creates a lot of depth. But there are other ways to introduce this into a single-player system. One, I think, is obviously intended by developers, and another one I think has naturally arisen. So the one obviously intended by developers is, of course, scoring. Scoring allows for true checkmates to appear, but in a secondary, deeper layer, where let's say you're getting to the end of an arcade game like a shmup, and you're really skilled at surviving all the way until the end. Okay, you've survived that true checkmate, but then if you're trying to go even deeper, the survival clear is actually only the early game, and the mid and late game start to appear when you play for score, because what can happen is I'm playing really well, I'm going to survive till the end, but if I'm trying to play for a very high score, there are certain things I cannot do.
Dude, he's crazy. Look at the. I keep looking at the character. He like dots everything.
Otherwise, I will checkmate myself.
This is the kind of
out the
people
score.
who play this game for like years at this point, man.
For example, bombing in the first loop. And I do think there is a way to check for the depth of a game that is pretty useful, which is the more abstract the checkmate becomes, usually the deeper the game is. Again, going back to chess, when you've got two noob players playing a very shallow, basic game of chess, none of them know the checkmate is there until it's like one move ahead and they see it and they're like, oh, there's the checkmate. That's a very shallow game of chess. But when you get deeper into the grandmaster layer, you'll be watching two chess grandmasters playing. It'll be mid-game. There's lots of pieces on the board. It seems like there's a lot happening. One guy moves his pawn incorrectly, recognizes it, and resigns. And the two grandmasters like shake their head like,
I still think chess is one of the most boring game. Maybe it's just not made for me, right? Maybe it's just not made for me, but it's so boring. Holy shit. You know, usually in chess, I'm just like randomly like move stuff, and then because people will not be able to read what kind of move I'm gonna do next.
critical flaw.
It's
there,
probably like, for the beginner, it's probably like the best strategy you could have.
Mistake. And the new players looking at the board like, why did he quit there? That is a sign of depth, when your skill and knowledge of the game allows you to anticipate the checkmate long before it even happens. So score is a built-in depth system that I, of course, very much appreciate. But I want to point out a naturally
like War
occurring
Thunder,
one,
I need to like research things so I could like enjoy them.
Like I said, most games now do not have true checkmates, and they don't have true depth because of that. And so players have begun to introduce their own meta of checkmates, which is, of course, speedrunning. So look at Super Mario 64. If you talk to someone and say, is Super Mario 64 a high-skill game? If they're just playing actually Super Mario 64, get to the end, get the stars, fight Bowser, no, it's a child's game in terms of skill. But a lot of people actually immediately jump to the metagame that is being played on top of Mario 64. It's using Mario 64 as like the chess pieces for a much more sophisticated metagame, which is, of course, speedrunning. And so when people say the skill of Super Mario 64, they actually mean the meta skill of speedrunning Super Mario 64. And you get all of these same scenarios. You'll watch a high-level Super Mario 64 runner, and he's trying to make a really great time, and he wall jumps slightly off at some point, has to reset the run.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but this ain't to earn, so reset maybe. It's hard to play right when you're failing, but this ain't to earn, so reset maybe. Hey,
Oh my god, just one mistake, reset. The mistake is basically like what, 1 second less than that, and then they still reset it like
crazy, but this ain't to earn, so reset maybe, and all the other splits.
The more these checkmates are occurring, the more resets are happening without it being clear exactly why, the more vague and ambiguous. Usually that means, well, there's more layers of depth that are causing that. So that is how it works in single-player games, and it's very similar in the way it works in multiplayer games. It's just that multiplayer games all pretty much have true checkmates, otherwise it would be absurd just on a pure competitive level. So the most obvious example is in Super Street Fighter 2, you knock them down, you throw the super, and the super will chip them out. That's a checkmate. They saw that super coming, you saw that super coming, everyone knows the super's coming, and the announcer can say, oh, game over before anything happens because everyone knows what's going to play out. But that's just a very obvious example of a true checkmate in a fighting game. All fighting games have true checkmates because of the timer. And so what's interesting with fighting games is usually, again, the more vague and ambiguous the true checkmate is, usually the deeper the game. So in Virtua Fighter, for example, I wouldn't be able to tell you what a true checkmate in that game looks like, but it does exist. It's just the game is so dynamic and well designed that no one, even the players approaching the fight, have an idea of how it's going to go. So true checkmates in Virtua Fighter are very vague and don't obviously happen a lot of time.
By the way, what is this game? Is this Tekken, Vamsi?
Case study I want to point out, though, is Tekken. Because Tekken historically did have something that was a little bit more obvious, especially in the Tekken Tag days, where because of the infinite stage and because of the Korean backdash,
I never heard
you
about
could
Virtua Fighter.
reliably
That's why
anticipate certain
I don't
players
know, like,
would
that
go
character.
for the timeout checkmate. So they'd knock your ass down, get a little bit of damage, and then they would checkmate you with backdashing and blocking in the time.
Oh, you know what, Vamsi? Dude, he's talking about time. It's basically like ratting in Armored Core. Like, you just shoot one rocket. Oh, it got a little bit of damage. Okay, I'm just gonna rat to the other side of the map. Oh, he's coming. I'm just gonna missile again and then run to the other side of the map. It's basically the same shit, man.
Seconds left, and he's gonna run for it. Razor Rush doesn't block the mid. He's backing up. Look at Jackie Tran trying to figure out how am I gonna approach this shithead. Look at this. I'm out of here. 18 seconds left. Clock's winding down. Razor Rush for to represent the counter hit. Backing up. 13 seconds left. Down one while standing 4. Really sick. Jumps in the air to reduce damage. 9 seconds left. Jackie Tran. Oh my God, so sick. And then look at this. He's almost gonna lose. In comes True Ogre. Down one. Sweep. This combo will kill, but time runs out before he has the opportunity to do the last hit of the game-winning combo. Holy shit. I love that match.
And Namco saw that.
Yeah, it's basically
and for
the same
rest
thing,
of
isn't
Tekken's
it?
lifespan is Namco trying to figure out this checkmate situation and get rid of it. So in Tekken 4,
Step is so fucking cool. Like, dude. See, even Bandai, they trying to fix it. Like, nobody wants to win by timer, right? Dude, they need to fix it too in Armored Core. Like, oh my God. In every tourney, there's always that one guy just using rocket, run to the other side of the map, rocket to the other side of the map. I hate that so much.
Hello, balik.
Hello. You're in ads. Alright, it's in 9 seconds. Alright.
they just got rid of the Korean backdash. I'll talk about Tekken 4.
Ini sekarang gua research Revenant lagi ya.
It's a pretty interesting game.
Ramsey, like I said, they need to fix it in Armored Core too, because you know in every turn there's always that one guy using like a rocket and then run to the other side of the map and then when you're getting close, rocket again and then just fly to the other side of the map. Even Tekken, even the freaking Tekken trying to fix that, and then it's happened again in Armored Core.
But yeah, there you go. That problem is solved, but a lot of the identity of Tekken was obviously lost in this process. This backwards blocking movement-based style gameplay is core to its metagame, and so I think in Tekken 5 they did a more nuanced solution, which is, all right, we're gonna let them do the backdash and the blocking, but we'll put
Yeah.
Itu masih in game ya?
What?
Ini udah dikasih tau nih kit-kitnya.
Kit-kitnya,
Kitnya si Revenant. Pasif ya, pasif. You raise fallen enemies ghost to fight as allies.
Send me the
Rekomendasi.
links. No, I want to see.
You want to see? Bentar.
so you can't go infinitely too much. So there you go.
Ini dari orangnya. Berarti ini harusnya udah
to these
komplit nih.
checkmate situations.
Gua
But
send
what
open
has
chat ya.
happened with fighting games, going back
Mana
to
tisu?
developers
Gua
being
tisu.
overly smart,
Kami ya
is
Twitch.
that developers are now hyper focusing and they're just injecting
Dodo?
system after system
Ah, itu
after
dia.
system to try to remove it, thinking that that's going to make their game more deep, when really they're just making their game.
Hopefully, if they like releasing new armor core, they just gonna fix that. Like nobody could just run away, use rocket, run away to their settlement, and then waiting for a timer to be out. Hopefully, they will fix it in the next game, or at least this game. Maybe there's gonna be like an update.
Game more random and shallow. Look at Tekken 8. That granularity of the checkmate no longer exists. Remember,
Like the only thing that I could think of to like counter that thing is just buff the booster, so you could like go near them more, right?
back to the depth. The chip system will literally like reset the phase of a game. You'll heal
To
back
make
to
assault
mid-game.
boosting pretty much uniform, yeah. It's basically like the only way that I could think of. Maybe like a smaller map, but for light build that would be bad though.
You'll be in end game and you'll heal backwards into mid game, and then at the same time, one guy can be in end game, one guy can be in early game. They hit each other, and with the ultras and the heat and the
Satu
super, now they're
equipment,
both
lu ada
in end
3
game.
secara total, Spectre Claw, 1, Finger Seal,
Wait,
Watch
did you send it
Shadow
now?
Open chat.
Oh, Revenant character skill and gameplay.
Greetings, I'm Slice, and in this video I will be showcasing an overview of the character class Revenant. In Elden Ring,
When you're locked on to someone, you go faster. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go, man. Because it's just not fun fighting somebody. They just using one rocket or few rocket and then just run to the other side of the map and just wait for the timer. It's not fun at all, man.
Night Rain. As one of 8 playable characters, the Revenant is a Nightfarer who blends necromantic summoning with powerful support mechanics, making her a versatile choice for players who prefer a more strategic and team-oriented approach. Her passive ability is called Necromancy, which automatically raises the spirits of defeated enemies. These ghostly allies fight alongside the Revenant, providing pressure and distraction for enemies.
Is there like a timer
Her
for
passive
the
support
summons now?
scales with combat
Nah,
engagement,
itu gua nggak tahu.
requiring no manual
Tapi
activation.
kayaknya ada. Menurut gua sih ada.
Her character skill is summon
Soalnya
skill.
lu coba
By playing
pikirin aja
effective
kalau dia
lava
pasifnya
or
kayak gitu, terus mereka nggak ada timer si anjing sih, menurut gua ya.
Calls upon one of 3 fallen family member each with a distinct role.
harp.
Ya, seperti yang gua bilang,
One of 3 fallen
dari awal
family
itu kan
members, each with distinct
pas dia
roles.
entrance itu kan kata summon kan. Yang satu di tengah, satu lagi di kiri dia.
Attacking summon.
Dan dia tuh kasih lihat satu skeleton, satu lagi yang pakai kepala pot gede. Jadi pasti ada 3 secara total.
Has low health,
So you're supposed to be
requires
able to
careful
summon one of 3
The second
of
one is
the big
Frederick.
summon that you
Delivers
can do.
powerful and deliberate melee strikes. Can stagger or break enemy.
Jadi lu ada satu yang bisa sama skeleton, atau satu lagi lu bisa panggil si Big Jar itu. Gua nggak tahu ya, yang satu lagi apa.
You know what I will probably
Stationary
gonna
summon
make the
with hydro
character
ability.
just use heavy shield and then spear and then just summon. That's
Ya,
probably
tapi menurut gua sih harusnya dia nggak bisa pakai gitu-gitu. Soalnya pasti kayak
What do you
Ya,
mean?
gitu lah
The
maksudnya.
bow guy can even use heavy shield. What do you mean? If the bow guy,
pasti gak ada statnya. Maksudnya statnya dia nih kayaknya nih yang jelek.
Absorbs enemy aggression. It is best
yeah, but the
used to
bow
hold
guy
choke
should
points
be like
or protect vulnerable
dexterity, but
allies.
he still can use like a heavy shield though.
Tapi kalau menurut gua sih harusnya dia nggak bisa pakai semua item lah maksudnya.
Mortal March.
Kan spesifik soalnya kan
Surge of vengeful
mungkin ya, gua seperti yang gua ngomongin ya, Dok. Dia itu kayak kalau diikut sama kelasnya tertentu, buffnya lebih gede, gitu maksud gua. Lu mau pakai shield tapi lu nggak dapet buff secara total. Soalnya kayak buffnya itu untuk skill yang ini, maksudnya skill yang ada di karakter ini nggak bisa, maksudnya. Makanya gua bilang kayak weaponnya nggak bisa semua lu bisa pakai. Lu ada banyak tipe-tipenya, tapi yang spesifik punya yang bisa bikin lu punya skill lebih bagus gitu aja. Kayak dia kan udah kasih lihat tuh, kayak starter itemnya kan ada 3 tipenya. Jadi gue cuma bisa pakai itu 3 kayaknya.
Oh wait, what? Make allies immortal for a while? What the fuck? Release Vengeance Fire to make self and nearby allies
beneran bisa
immortal.
immortal. Jadi mungkin ya itu teman nggak bisa darahnya nurun lah, maksudnya berapa detik gitu. Nah, yang gua ngerti itu yang itu Revenant skinnya dibuka, gua nggak ngerti tuh.
Reveal face plate to reveal skeleton beneath it. It is also
Maybe
a
it's just
dramatic
like the
transformation.
description, but it's
The Revenant's
just
face
for like a healing.
takes on a skeletal appearance during this ability. It is ideal for turning the tide and challenging
Itu weaponnya lu cuma ada
or
3
team
nih,
battle.
katanya ada Spectre Claw 1, Finger
Revenant's
Seal,
third
sama
equipment
White
is the
Shadow
spectral
Sword.
claws, the finger seal,
No, this
and
is only starting equipment. You can change.
Ya, dan
no?
gua nggak tahu entar
The
pas
White Shadow
depan-depannya gimana. Tapi kalau gua lihat dari semua yang gua nonton tuh, dari orang main, dari beta,
her finger seal,
itu
it is used to cast
setiap
supportive
item itu
incantations and
nggak semuanya
spells.
itu untuk semua
The White
karakter,
Shadow
ngerti
Sword
nggak?
is a tool for
Jadi kayak misal
navigating
item
enemy
ini
focus.
fokusnya
It
itu cuma untuk
enhances
karakter ini, ngerti
survivability.
nggak?
Yeah.
So if you want to gain 100% of the efficiency, ya itu, you need to equip this item on specific character gitu.
Imagine there's no efficiency and you just could use any weapon you want.
Tapi harusnya lu bisa pakai any weapon, tapi kamu nggak dapet buffnya, ngerti nggak?
Iya.
Bisa dapat weaponnya, bisa pakai, cuma lu nggak dapat buffnya. Soalnya kayak misalnya contoh, gua lihat satu item bisa ngebuff lu punya skill gitu, bikin skillnya ngapain gitu. Gitu-gitu maksudnya.
And if you don't want to be spoiled, look away.
Gua takutnya kalau gua pakai big shield gitu-gitu, nah bisa dianya.
Her second skin is called Dawn.
Itu aja sih menurut gua ya, menurut gua.
Merc. Her third skin is called Darkness, which cost 35,000 Merc. Her fourth skin is the Sister in the Painting, costs 7,500 Merc. This is Sister Elfrida from Dark Souls 3.
Gua sih nggak peduli kalau skin aja
And
udah.
lastly, we have the Dragon School skin, which also costs
Ya berarti dia ada 3 summon, gua udah
I
pikirin tuh
personally
3 summon
absolutely
bukan 2.
love Sister Frida. She is my favorite Dark Souls character
I
and
mean, we're
favorite
gonna
enemy
see
of all time.
it
As you can tell
tomorrow.
by me giggling, I really
Ya, tapi
am
tomorrow
excited
kalau
to play Revenant.
gua mau main
Even though
bertiga
the
ya lu
first
cari
video
satu
will
orang
be
lagi,
playing
gua
Revenant. What do you
pasti
think about her
ikut. Cuma
kit?
masalahnya
I
gua
personally really
jam
like
5-an baru main
different,
gua masalahnya.
she feels.
Gua ada kerja, mau gimana ya?
Just say you're sick, man.
Cannot. I need money.
What? You never got sick before everybody got sick. There's no like, oh, I could just pre-download it. Okay, I mean, there's no like timer. Usually, in some games, there's gonna be like a timer. It's gonna be unlocked in like 24 hour, 23 hour, something
Ya,
like that.
kalau ini kan gua nggak tahu nih pas waktunya. Mungkin harus ke website officialnya supaya tahu maksudnya. Ini gua coba cek ya.
User is Rashid. Hello, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Where the hell is the video again?
Oke, dia kastanya itu official release dari Elden Ring itu tanggal 30 at midnight.
Ya. Midnight
At
what
EDT.
country?
EDT.
Java,
EDT itu
Java.
ke WIB berapa banyak sih? Bentar gua cek dulu.
It's probably gonna be midnight Indonesian time. It's probably gonna be it.
Website Indonesia is 11 hours ahead. Oh, jam 11 berarti kitanya.
11 at night.
Of Sister Frida.
Nah,
Anyway, you get to leave a
mereka tuh midnight. Kita itu jam 11 baru buka. Pagi.
Updated with everything that I do.
I'm
Jam
probably
11
just
udah
gonna
buka
play
game
with
ya.
random
I will see you
first, I
next
guess,
week.
if I don't have anybody to play with.
Ya gitu. Kalau gua pasti coba-coba dulu. Karakternya dulu, gua biasain dulu. Soalnya kan gua nggak pernah main Elden, tapi gua pernah main kayak Bloodborne gitu-gitu gua main. Tapi gua nggak tahu sama nggak kayak itu. Kalau sama ya udah gampang guanya. Gua tinggal belajarin karakternya lagi.
Hey folks, it's Falcon. Today we're talking Elden Ring, Night Rain. After Shadow of the Erd Tree, the guys from
Let's see,
swore up and down they had no
before
plans for a
you
sequel.
buy, but I actually already buy this game.
Gua juga udah.
Yeah. We already buy
Gua juga
it.
udah.
Sequel or any more DLC.
pre-order it.
I believed them because that's usually
I
the way these
really think this would be a DLC more than a new game. I don't know why. This would be like next to Shadow of the Earth 3. Am I crazy?
Iya, tapi mereka bikinnya new game, soalnya mereka nggak mau samain ini.
add-on, and that's it.
Kalau
Finito.
mereka bisa bikin sekali game mode kan?
What
Ya
you mean they
gitu.
doesn't want to be the same? They basically like copy Elden Ring. There's literally Elden Ring name in the title.
Bukan copy ya, itu kan
Go on to
Steam
something else.
Creator,
So,
itu yang pertama.
when they,
Kedua,
announced
mereka mau
Night Rain-
bikinnya itu kayak is Elden Ring in the same universe but the gameplay is different, gitu aja.
Like it could be like a
Mungkin
game
menurut mereka
mode.
kalau misalnya, gua takutnya ya, menurut mereka kalau masukin ke base gamenya lagi, harus ngedownload lagi lebih gede. Mereka pikir,
Iya.
gua lebih mending bikin separate satu game baru, game mode
Nobody
yang
saw it
lain,
coming,
tapi
and nobody
bisa
could have
diiniin.
anticipated what a weird
Gua nggak tahu ya,
experimental
ini kan
game would
pikiran
actually
mereka,
be.
bukan
I think
pikiran
it's
gua.
important to emphasize what
Itu
exactly
menurut
Oh,
gua
Night
so
Rain
there's
is.
like a gear. Okay, boiled aromatic raise attack, but also damage received. Oh, so they're gonna be like a purple, probably like gold, and then like a blue. All right.
Because I'm still seeing people being like, should I finish the DLC before jumping into Night Rain? And I don't think they
No, I'm just talking about like the color of the gear. Like there is rare, common stuff.
quite understand what's going
Ya,
on.
gitu-gitu.
And I don't blame them
Dan itu
because it
item-itemnya
did take
itu
me a little
coba
while
mix
to
and
wrap my
match
head
gitu
around
aja.
it myself. So what it actually is,
Tapi kan
it's a
lucu menurut gua
three-player
ya. Orang
cooperative
pakai bom
spin-off where you
mendadak
play
dia
as
jadi
one of 8
ngiri gitu.
predetermined classes. You drop into a
Menurut
map
gua pasti
that has a
dropnya itu
limited amount of time to explore, grab
konsisten
loot, kill
sama
enemies,
karakter
slay
kamu.
bosses, and
Kayak,
acquire
karakter kamu
resources and
pakai pedang
upgrades in
kayak
order to
gini,
get
tapi
strong
nggak
enough
semuanya
to
harus
take on
pedang.
a powerful end
Maksudnya
boss that appears on
pedang,
day 3.
two-handed
All the
dia bisa
while,
tahan
you
pakai
have
satu
to deal
tangan, terus dibikinin
consistently with
ukuran
a
jadi
closing circle,
jadi
kind of like
gitu-gitu.
Fortnite or a
Atau nggak
Battle
kayak
Royale.
gitu.
The Night Rain does constant damage if you're outside of the circle. Each run is split
Kalau itu
into
aku
3
lebih
parts
ngerti
or
malahan. Jadi
days.
itu
You
ikutin
have 2 days to
kelasnya
explore the
orang.
map. The last
Gua
day is
nggak harus
simply the
mix and
final
match
boss
gitu.
fight.
Susah
How
ntar.
each day works is that you get about 20 minutes to run
Tapi di
around
sini
and
gue juga bisa
explore.
itu
But when the
drop
circle
item.
finally
Kayak misalnya,
closes,
oh gue
you
dapat
encounter a
item
boss
ini
that
nih,
you have
gue
to take
bisa
down
kasih
as
ke
a
teman
team.
gue ya udah
And the day
kasih aja.
2 kicks off, whole thing's
But there's no timer. It's just basically you just need to see like, is the circle moving or not.
starts over. Each location resets.
Ya,
New
mereka
roaming bosses
nggak
start
ada
appearing all over,
timer.
etc. You can
Tunggu,
play it
sorry.
solo, but it's pretty
Seingat
obvious
gue
the
tuh
meat and
emang ada
potatoes is
timer.
the 3-day
Nggak dikasih tau timernya,
co-op.
tapi
It
mereka
is a
tuh ada di
multiplayer
night
game
cycle,
first and
jadi
foremost. It is not a follow-up
itulah.
to Elden
Mereka sih
Ring.
biasanya
It is
berapa
a
menit ya
spin-off,
kata mereka
and I think
waktu
that's
itu
going to
gua
make it
ngecek.
pretty divisive.
Lupa
I
udah.
know the premise probably sounds appealing to a lot of people. It's the #1 wish-listed thing on Steam right now, but I also know a lot of you are
Itu
ready to
tuh
get off
weaponnya
this
tuh.
train
Weaponnya ada
just from the
enhancement
premise alone.
api
So,
gitu-gitu
in
maksudnya.
videos where we talk
Tapi
about
nggak
Night
bisa
Rain
kayak, oh,
coming
skillsnya
up,
harus gede
I've
gitu,
generally
nggak
been
bisa
pretty
mereka.
positive about it. It's something that I think looks
Wait, can people use the same character though? If 3 people want to use,
Bisa,
let's
bisa,
just
bisa.
say the
Bisa,
bow
bisa.
guy.
You can do like three
very
three
cool.
wielder
It is from
atau
where-
3 Darkers atau 3 itu, 3 Raven juga bisa. You can use the same character if you want.
talking about also. These guys have not missed once in the last decade or so.
Siapa nih, Dok?
But
Si
unfortunately,
Azul
as it is now,
Betul sekali, gue udah tahu nih.
anyways, I think it's a miss.
it-
It's got a lot of
Lu-
really
lu
good
main nggak?
ideas, and there's
Edwin?
really good highlights.
Nggak ada duit.
It's not like a
Oh, nggak ada
disaster
duit,
or
tak
anything,
boleh.
and I'm not saying it's
Kerja lah.
unsalvageable. It is far from that. But it's
Bentar
just
lagi
got
udah
so
kelar,
many little
nunggu-
problems.
nunggu kelar
No,
baru kerja.
buy it for him. No.
No.
You have the
buy it
money.
for me.
Yeah,
Issues
you
and
buy
places
for
where they
him.
didn't quite think everything
He's
through,
your best friend,
and it
right?
doesn't just hang together properly. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I
mesh.
don't
punya
have
sama
the
si-
money.
It meshes enough.
Gue punya sama si Yuki,
I mean, there's
gue
gonna
punya
be
sama si
people
Azuf,
that
tuh
love
sama
this,
dia aja
but to
udah.
me, it needs to be worked on
Lu
more
beliin
from
untuk
this
dia.
point. So the
Gua beliin
thing
untuk si Yuki mana
with
lu
From
nya?
is that their multiplayer offerings have always been kind of.
I
ropey,
really think
but
they need
that's
to add
fine
like
because
NPC in
the
this
online
game. Not like, I mean, like if you don't want to play with random people and then they just gonna go like somewhere all alone. I feel like it would be better if we can just summon NPC.
Ini gue jelasinnya gimana ya? Ini lu nggak
It's like
harus
a compliment
tiga-tiganya
to
itu
the
stay close
single player,
together.
not
You can
the
separate with
focus.
each other. Tapi kalau lu misalnya mati, mereka susah revive lu. Soalnya ada timer kan sebelum lu totalin mati.
Yeah. No.
Gitu
I'm
aja.
just talking about some people probably just gonna like separate from the group even though they're playing like 3 people in a team, you
Ya
know.
makanya disarankan sama mereka itu kalau mau main harus sama orang yang kalian kenal, apalagi yang bisa voice chat.
Iya.
Jadi gampang
Yeah,
maksudnya
but if
gitu.
you don't have a
Mereka udah
friend to
ngomong
play
tuh di
with.
IGN-nya sendiri. IGN sendiri udah ngomongin, you can play separately, spread out, focus on different bosses or fight different enemy. Then when it's finished, you guys gonna combine together and fight the last boss of the day. Gitu aja mereka bilangnya sampai gitu. Tapi lebih bagusnya menurut mereka itu lawan satu bos 1-1, soalnya lebih efisien,
Here
lebih
it's
cepat
the
juga lawan
focus,
bos
and
yang
it's still
kecil-kecil
kind
itu.
of robust.
Baru
There's
lawan bos
problems.
terakhir.
For one thing, the entire game is
1
balanced
atau
around having
2.
3 players. So if one player drops out
Jadi
mid-match,
saran mereka
you're
tuh
screwed.
harus
It's
tahu teman lu
theoretically
siapa,
possible you'll be able to
mainnya
beat the
kayak
big boss
gimana,
at the end with just
gitu-gitu.
2, but
Makanya
it's
tadi
not
gua saranin,
likely. Sure, the game
gua cek
punishes
dulu, oh ini
players for
ada nggak
dropping
yang
out
mainin
early.
night rain.
Yes,
Dodo gua
but the
tahu
result
pasti
of that
main.
means
Gua
the 2
pikir, oh
remaining
oke lu
players
sama gua
are
aja
stuck
main.
playing a
Dia
dead
butuh
game
orang
that
ketiga
punishes
yang kita juga
them for
kenal.
that guy
Masalahnya
quitting,
nggak ada
and then there's
kita.
40 minutes of your life down the drain. The devs said they might add in 2
If
player
you want it
support
to be more
after the
fun
release,
with people,
but I mean,
kalau sama
whether
teman yang
that's
kamu
successful
kenal
is
lebih
contingent
gampang,
on if
lebih
the
lucu
balance
menurut
changes
gua
if
ya.
a player drops out. Knowing how From has done things in the past, I'm a little skeptical of them doing
Oh
that.
yeah, he's talking about somebody leaving the game early. Why can't they just like adjust it mid game, like the difficulty adjust into 2 people if somebody like leave the game? You know?
Bisa. If someone leave the game ya jadi sisa 2. Tapi secara ide lah ya, trio lebih bagus daripada duo.
Yeah, but if
Apalagi
somebody
satu orang
just
yang juga
left.
main solo juga nggak bisa menang. Almost impossible.
No. We're talking about
Gitu
if
aja.
somebody just left the game like in mid game. It's like 3 player playing and then one of them left. And then the difficulty
Yeah, so
is not even changing. It's still like 3 people difficulty. I mean, it's still like the same.
The difficulty is not gonna change even if you play solo, duo, or trio. Difficulty-nya sama total.
Yeah, it's already default. It's already one time.
It's default.
It seems like the balance is
I feel like that's a bad design, isn't it though?
Game
Kan ini
creation,
kan baru
and
gamenya bawa
they don't
keluar,
generally adjust it. Like I
Mungkin
said,
mereka
solo is
dibenerin, tapi
technically
sekarang ini
doable,
kan
and depending
IGN
on your
baru
class,
kasih tahu
actually
doang
pretty
bahwa oh
possible,
ini
but the
gamenya kayak
bosses are
gini.
clearly
Walaupun
balanced
kamu
for
main
multiple
solo,
players.
mau
This
main
thing
duo atau
loves
mau
throwing
main trio,
tons of
trio lebih
crap,
gampang
like
menurut
chaotic
mereka dan
screen-filled
difficulty-nya
magic
bisa diganti
attacks
mau
that
yang
are
easy
clearly
atau hard.
designed
Yeah,
for a
basically
group to
this
deal
game
with.
is
When
just
you're with a
make you do
team,
co-op.
sometimes they're borderline unfair.
Because eventually it's
By
super
yourself,
hard.
they're full stop unfair. I don't want to just complain about
Dan sampai
this game
mereka
because there
juga
are
sampai ngomong
positives,
kok,
so I'm gonna
lu main
stop
solo
right
aja
there
nggak
and
bisa
get to
menang.
those positives.
Bukan nggak bisa,
The core
bisa
part
menang.
is co-op.
Tapi ya
It's
kita
fun.
ngomongin
The
ya,
baseline of just
lower
playing the
than
game with other
1%
people
lah you're
is
gonna win.
it's plenty
Why?
of
Because
good
you
time.
have
The classes are varied and interesting,
disadvantage-nya
and the
itu
new
lu nggak bisa
character-based
revive.
skills are really
Lu sekali
powerful
mati
and really
udah goodbye.
satisfying to use,
Yoran is
and
done.
they recharge pretty
Kalau
quickly,
sama
so
Ela kan
you
masih
use this
bisa
stuff a
di-revive
lot.
satu-satu.
Each night fair brings
Yeah,
something
if you
useful
are pro, or at least you get a good like
to the table too.
ODT.
The Wilder's grappling
good
hook
chance
is,
to
I
get
mean, it's
some
beyond
item.
satisfying. It's very good.
The other thing that I want
Makanya
to
tadi gua
know
sarannya.
the aggro, because in Elden Ring you know how the aggro works. So if somebody last hit, if you need to it's weird how Elden Ring aggro works. Like I don't know how to explain
Mungkin
it.
mobil mah.
It's super
But
useful for
hopefully,
Sorry, apa?
like
Yang
the
which one?
aggro.
Revenant atau siapa?
No, the aggro. You know, like the enemy aggro.
aggro.
Yes.
Yeah, the aggro in the game.
Is it gonna be the
Oh,
same as Elden Ring, or is it gonna be like new system?
Mereka sih bilangnya itu musuhnya itu nggak sekenceng Elden. Mereka bikinin lebih gampang dikit lah. Maksudnya kayak bosses-bosses yang lu
taking out
pernah
weaker
lawan
enemies,
di
or getting
Elden.
around quickly.
Kayak
It's great.
contohnya
The
lu
Guardian's
tahu si
ultimate looks amazing.
siapa tuh
It's a
namanya?
lifesaver when you
Lupa
need
ya.
to revive down
Bos yang paling
allies.
pertama lah.
The
Lu
Duchess's
tahu kan?
rewind
Pas
ability
lu masuk
feels
tuh
like
ada yang
cheating
pakai
in
kuda
like a
tuh.
really fun way.
Mereka
It
bikinnya lebih
literally
gampang
just
dikit, maksudnya
rewinds the
damage-nya
last damage
dikecilin.
an enemy took, basically
Tapi
doubling the
dia
damage
punya attack
output
button
if you
sama
use it
gitu.
properly. It's
Bukan sama
so
sih,
good. And there's more
cepetin
crazy
dikit,
stuff other
amatin
classes
dikit
can do. I
gitu
don't
lah.
want to
Maksudnya
spoil
mereka gak
first because
kotak-katik
they take
itunya
too long
doang.
and second because they're really fun to
Stagnya
just
hampir
find.
sama lah,
The
sama
idea
yang
of playing a
biasa.
specific class is
By the way, you see this now?
Other than
This
your-
girl using shield.
Iya,
Maybe
dia punya bisa. Dia punya bisa. Soalnya dia tuh ada 3 tipe. Lo udah cek, ke situ ada 3. Ada satu yang bisa pakai sword and shield, satu lagi
custom
dagger,
character.
2 dagger
Might
juga
sound
bisa pakai
limiting, but
dia.
to me, the 8 playable
maybe I'm
characters
just gonna use like a spear and shield. That's
Ya dong, gua nggak tahu Revenant itu ada nggak yang
Like,
pakai shield
actually
and spear.
It
cover
should
a
be
broad
able
range of
to.
archetypes, and it
No,
works.
spear and
I
shield
never
is only
saw
the Birdman.
Iya, it's only the Batman, udah
anybody
pasti.
play as the recluse or the raider, but that's
Makanya
not
tuh
meant to
kasar
knock the
kedengeran susah
utility
ya.
or anything.
Kayak
These are
maksudnya,
early days,
every
and
character tuh weaponnya itu aja, cuma itu 3.
No.
You cannot
Every
choose
every
between
character
itu.
can use shield though. At least as far as I can see.
No, not every character.
Not every
Like,
character.
Rider can cannot use shield. Only can use two-handed or one-handed.
How about the bow guy? How the bow guy even use shield?
The bow guy. The boy
Who the hell
guy.
is the boat guy? The raider kata
Iron Eye.
Oh, Iron ya, weaponnya cuma bow doang, dia bisa tambah lagi sama 2. Dia bisa melee, dia bisa nggak melee.
Yeah, and he can use giant shield.
Enggak, soalnya dia cuma ada 3. Opsinya cuma ada 3 weapon. 3 type of weapon, cuma mereka punya itu beda-beda.
And then
skillnya.
this girl, the Miss girl can use shield too.
The magic girl
Yeah.
or Duchess?
Nah, the Duchess can use like shield.
Yeah, like
Duchess emang itu, Duchess ada 3. Ya, Duchess itu 1 dagger,
And I
1.
haven't seen anybody really get into
dua
that.
blade,
The boss
atau
fight.
enggak sword and shield, udah, itu 3.
Are, of
But
course,
for
the real
Spear,
highlight
it's
here.
only.
No, I think it's fair to
Who is it? The bird guy, the raider,
say
and
there's a lot
the
of
last
reuse
one
stuff in
is
Elden Ring.
the
But
one
the majority of the
can
fights are the same old stuff that everybody might be even a little tired of from the base game. But when something new pops up, things get crazy.
No,
interesting.
polearm.
How game progression
Polearm
works
ada ya,
is
polearm
you
ada,
pick
tapi
one
bukan
of
spear.
8
Itu bukan
potential
spear.
Night Lords to go after. Some of these guys are locked
Halberd
at
ada dia.
first, so they're not all
Dia
available
kalau
at the
Halberd ada
start.
dia.
And depending on which one you
Rider
pick,
is
that
Halberd
affects
too.
which
It
bosses you
cannot
can
be-
potentially
Enggak,
face
soalnya
at the
gue
end of
tadi
day 1 or
kasih
2.
si Dodo.
They usually
Dodo
cycle
ini si
between
Raven ini, gue cuma tahu ada 3 loh. Gue nggak
two or so
bisa
different
kasih tahu
options.
bahwa
You
dia
might
ada
find
shot atau
something
enggak.
basic from Elden
Soalnya
Ring,
dia ada
like
satu
a
yang
to be a
pakai
banner,
apa
or
claw
it might
tangan.
be something
Dia
interesting
ada
like
satu yang
returning
pakai
boss from
reset
the back
kayaknya
catalog,
resetter ya,
like Centipede
menurut
Demon from
katanya.
Dark Souls.
Yang satu
But-
lagi itu ya itu dia punya kayak spear itu katanya. Spear
By
gitu.
the way,
No, Revenant cannot use shield because it's already used for magic.
By the way,
Yeah.
so the gameplay is basically every night the circle gonna come closer, and then the first night the circle gonna get close, and then it's gonna reset the next day. Is that how it
Iya
works?
betul.
Yeah,
Jadi gini.
basically you
Freya
survive.
from Dark Souls.
How many
Ya
days
jadi
you survive?
dia satunya itu lu spawn, lu bisa kemanapun, cuma pasti ada time di mana the circle goes closer and closer. Pas circle-nya itu already in the final phase, circle-nya,
Yeah.
dia akan summon boss namanya we just call it like a boss lah. Boss
Dude,
malam
even
gitu.
the nameless
Jadi
team
boss
from
malam
Dark
itu lu
Souls
harus
series
habisin
is
kalau misalnya lu mau lanjutin ke D2.
By the way, what happened if you die and you didn't get revived? Are you gonna get revived the next night, or is it just you're gonna die?
Oke, kalau itu harusnya revive. Soalnya gue pas
Ridiculous, but
nonton
it's there.
si
And they're not the only
satu
returning
ini lagi
bosses.
main,
What makes
dia
these
revive.
returning bosses so interesting is they
Sama
took
tim
the
yang menang
original
ya.
fights and adapted them to this multiplayer
Well,
focused
tim
game.
lulus ya,
So
you
they got
don't-
new
you
moves, new
cannot go to
abilities,
D2 gitu
and they
aja.
generally
Yeah,
gave
but
them
the
a
bad
blow
thing
up
you
to the
cannot get
century.
any
Seeing these
soul
things
and you
return with
drop
new color
like a certain amount of
It's one of the
soul.
most satisfying things about Night Rain. The Night Lords themselves are another
Apparently,
highlight.
they only give you
They're
soul.
great.
Yeah.
But let's start
It give
maybe
you
going in the other
XP
direction a little bit. They're
amount of
also
your level.
one of the biggest flaws in the game.
So there
The
is some
fights
minimum
themselves
you
epic.
can
They're
drop.
practically all
I
last
mean,
bosses
jadi
in their own
jadi
right.
kalau
Every
lu
single one is
matikan
very
lu
difficult.
the last boss,
Every time
you
you
fight
die,
the
you
last
spend a
boss to
minimum
go
of
to the
40
next-
minutes just to get one more
to
shot at
the
them.
next
And
day,
what
gitu
happens
aja.
if you get stuck with a worthless item that, or one guy
Terus
drops
lu itu ke campfire, lu bisa
step bad
nge-setup
luck,
dulu
you don't get any useful weapon
berapa
drops
menit,
or
terus habis
upgrades
itu
with
baru
that.
lagi
Like,
next day.
I love
Same thing
Download.
again.
It's one of the best roguelike
Scarlet
type games.
Rot, it's
I love it.
still
But if you don't get good
copious.
drops and you get to that last
Yeah,
boss and you fail, you get really mad. And that game
But
is
it's hard to get.
relatively easy compared to Night Rain. It's also pretty uncomplex and doesn't rely on you understanding a lot of things. I only bring it up because that's kind of the reason
Setiap karakter
that
tuh kayaknya
works.
3 tipe.
Honestly,
Soalnya
you
pas
can
gue liatin,
blaze
dia ada
through
yang pakai
download pretty
polearm, dia
quick
ada pakai
because it's
satu
a
katana, dia ada
non-complex
yang 2
game
katana.
where you just go
Gue
down.
liat
Here you're dealing with other
si ini
people,
bisa pakai
you're dealing with
two-hander,
a gradually
one-hander
dwindling
with
play area,
shield, gitu,
you're dealing with different systems, you're dealing with balance. Things can change fairly
Gila, level
drastically
1
between
darahnya.
days.
Wih.
I mean, and I'm really
Udah
only
sekali
scratching
gitu,
the
tapi-
surface
Iya.
here. It's a
Iya,
much more
tapi
complex game
enak loh
with a
pakai
similar
item itu, gue liatin
potential
orang mainnya.
problem. In a simpler game, it's
I
not
don't
so much a
have.
problem.
I have
In a game that-
unlimited arrow. That's kind of OP though. Unlimited
Ya, tapi kan
arrow.
dia pasti gampang mati kalau misalnya target.
frankly fairly
Itu kan
involved,
downside-nya,
and it does
pasti kayak
take a
gitu
lot more
tipenya.
time to
Makanya gue
beat.
tadi
I mean,
bilang,
40 minutes is
kalau
not
gue
a
itu
long
mungkin
time for a
summonnya
game
banyak,
by any
tapi
means, but it's
defense
not a
lu tinggi,
multiplayer
defense
match
lu
either.
rendah,
But I will
gitu.
say, at least you're always making some kind
Pasti
of
ada
progress. When you do lose a game,
like
which is
high
going to happen
risk,
so
high
much,
risk, high
you
reward
still
lah
get
gitu.
something for your trouble.
Iya, terus
At
ingat
the end
dia
of the
kan
run, you get
setiap nembak
relics and a
makan
currency called
stamina.
Merc that can be
Lo
used
kalau
to
udah
shop in the
habis
round
stamina
table
kan
to
nggak
unlock
bisa ngedot,
persistent
lo ngandarin
rewards like
skill doang.
emotes.
Skill itu kan juga
Relics
cooldownnya
work
lama.
just just like the runes from Bloodborne. They're randomized upgrades that you can equip on your Nightfarers to permanently make them more powerful. If you're lucky, some of these can be extremely effective and add powerful effects that make your character significantly better. But to be fair, a lot of these things are going to be next to worthless. Still, it is nice to have some kind of progression, and I appreciate that they kept it relatively simple. This is not a non-complex game. But compare it to Elden Ring proper, it's a lot simpler. More importantly, there aren't any microtransactions. You can only get Merc by playing the game, and they give you more than enough to unlock the stuff that you want relatively quickly. It's only the alternate costumes that are really expensive, and they're not expensive with money, they're expensive with Merc. So you got to play the game more. There is another element of persistence in the game, the Nightfarer memories, which can be accessed in a journal.
I don't know. I have a feeling this game probably gonna be like not a lot of people gonna play it more than like a month or two.
Nah, makanya gue kasih dulu. Nah, ini kan kalau orang banyak yang main, dia sukses, kan ada Deluxe Edition. Mereka udah kasih tahu bahwa there will be a DLC.
Yeah, but the DLC is probably gonna take months now.
Iya, makanya if you buy the Deluxe, you get the DLC for free. If you don't buy the Deluxe one, you just get
I don't really
the
consider
normal
this
game.
a positive or a
Gue sih normal game dulu,
negative.
soalnya gue nggak tahu berapa.
You can complete little objectives that progresses any of the character story, which at least unlocks some useful class relics for each.
Bisa aja dia mendadak shutdown atau gimana, gue siap-siap aja.
So I think you need to play like every single character to do their story. Or is it only one character story? How does the story work exactly?
Okay, the story lu bisa pilih, lu mau fokus yang mana gitu.
But if I finish with one story, I can do like the other
one. Yeah, then you need to go to the next chapter if you want to do the other story. Their own story,
pretty basic. It doesn't stand out. The story elements here feel even more secondary than they do with Elden Ring proper. They barely even matter, and any lore introduced feels kind of tacked on. Like they know that Souls games
maybe I should
need
play with the hardest one, like Executor, probably like the hardest one.
Executor itu bukan yang paling susah. Dia itu second, ya kita ngomong second tier lah, second tier the hardest lah. Selain dia itu si Raider, soalnya si Raider itu lu mainnya depan, dan dia tuh staggeringnya paling gede. Dia salah satu karakter yang staggeringnya paling gede.
Iya, tapi gebukannya lambat.
Iya, tapi gebukannya lambat. Makanya dibilangnya juga susah. Kenapa? Soalnya lu harus ngertiin gimana pakai dia.
Undoubtedly the highlights of the game. They're big, they're bombastic, they're suitably impressive, but they're also the biggest ball aches
you are ever going to have. And they're pushing the limits of
what should be considered an acceptable challenge. At least in Elden Ring, every boss was designed to be fought one-on-one, so there's some built-in fairness of some kind. Even when they got difficult. These guys know nothing is holding them back. Because of that, some of these fights
it requires a very high skill player to actually win this, but I don't think it's possible.
He's not even trying to dodge. He's just using the tiny shield to defend.
Period! Exclamation mark! Other punctuation.
Ya, tapi kalau tanya jadi shieldnya dia tuh
Night Rain
gunanya itu bukan fully defense atau fully defense. Dia cuma reduce the defense itu.
No, he's using the shield for defense only. Like, what the fuck? That's a small
no,
shield.
No. Dia defense itu. Dengerin ya, dia defense itu.
This is my biggest problem in the game. It's just a lot of running around and minor exclusions or mistakes doom you. Okay, so let me explain exactly. If you want to beat the Night Lord, you have to play efficient. And how do you play efficiently in Night Rain? Well, you follow a very strict formula of beelining to the Marika shrines on the map and max out your charges. You run straight to the easiest bosses on the map. You do power drops, then you kill the boss in the castle and do any random events, and that's it. Rinse and repeat. You run past everything, go to whatever bosses are around, and that's how you play the game. And it just feels.
Dan nembaknya juga nggak gede, lu pakai dia punya skill.
What are we doing here? There's a giant castle to explore, but it's always the same.
Menurut gue sih gue berani, gue mau coba soalnya.
Avoiding all the enemies.
I want to try to deflect nih. Soalnya udah main ZZZ, udah main ini. Aduh, oke lah, gue coba nih.
So we need to focus at one character first, finish the story, finish everything, and then can move on to next character.
Yeah, then if you want to change, then change.
There's no reason to be fighting. There's just not enough time to explore or really learn the map. It's always rush to the next boss,
Dan
and
yang
you
gua
cut it
pasti
down
tahu
in
tuh
seconds,
mungkin
you
ya
collect your
kalau dia si
loot,
kuat pas
and then you
karakternya
move
banyak
on.
yang kuat.
There's not really any sense of
Ini
wonder.
sih mereka
The mystery of the
juga
original game is
jadi
gone,
Elden
and
Ring
it's
Night ini
replaced
mereka
with
juga
rote
mencoba untuk
memorization. It
nge-collab
feels
sama
kind of like
game-game lain
speedrunning
kayak
rather than
misalnya
actually
dari
playing the
Dark
game, and some
Souls,
people are going to be into
Bloodborne,
that.
kayak Dark
Like,
Souls kan
I
dari
want to be
Bloodborne
clear.
tuh.
This isn't
Karakternya.
necessarily a negative for everyone, but there's just
And there's
aspects
no
of it
full
that aren't
damage
right.
too.
Like, probably for the first few runs, it feels like it's going to be
Nggak ada, mereka
a really cool
full
thing,
damage
but
nggak
then
ada.
after
Dia
a
kayak
few,
pas
it
lu turun
kind
lawan
of...
situ
So a
si
large
yang
reason
gede
for that,
itu,
too, I might
siapa
add,
tuh?
is that the map just barely ever changes.
Lupa namanya
Other
gua.
than the placement of a few key locations, the actual map
Tapi yang harus
layout
biasa
is
itu ya itu
shockingly
weapon
static.
skillnya apa,
It's always the
lu
same deep
fokusnya
river with a
apa,
castle in the middle.
gitu-gitu
It's
lah.
always the exact same layout with the lake at the lower part of the map. Sometimes a random event
one-handed
happens
with
that changes the
shield,
shape of the map a bit,
two-handed
but
sword, atau nggak
it's
pakai
static
satu
to such an extent that
two-handed axe,
it's just
gitu-gitu
too
lah
much.
weaponnya.
And I'll say it's because what this desperately needs, it's more map variety and some randomization. Right now, it's the starting area of
Yang
Elden
gua
Ring
suka
stretched
dari
out into an entire game.
Wilder
There's so
itu sih
many
itu tuh
memorable,
weapon
visually
yang
interesting,
nge-light tuh.
complex
Waduh,
locations in the
kencang
main
banget
game,
tuh
and you
kelihatannya tuh.
see almost none of them.
Kalau
Just a
si
lot of
eksekutor
generic
yang dua blit
castles
sih,
and
keren.
ruins. When something memorable does
Yang itu,
happen,
dua
like
blit.
the shifting Earth events
Eksekutor.
that happen right after being a Night Lord, it at least does something to change the map, but
Iya.
these are static
Gua-
too.
gua
They're always the
mau
same.
gitu.
Once you learn the game, you're always running them
Gua pas
because
lihat
the best
eksekutor gua lihat
rewards
jawabannya
are
suka boleh
in
nih,
these
soalnya
things.
pas
So
banget
that's
gua
how you
lagi
get
mau
the
coba
most
nih
powerful
kalau bisa
weapons and
counter-counter.
power-ups.
Cuma
Gives
gua
you the best
latihan
chance
musuh
to be
juga,
the
soalnya
Night
gua
Lord.
nggak tahu
The
musuh
game's
semua kan.
challenge is a double-edged
Gua nggak main
sword,
Elden
where it
soalnya.
makes the experience
Jadi gua
more
nggak tahu nih
interesting.
kata-katanya apa
Yes,
aja.
I mean, there wouldn't be much
Orang
to
yang
do
pernah
if
main
the Night
Elden ya
Lords were
pasti mereka
easy,
udah tahu
but
nih
at the same
patternnya apa
time,
gitu.
the only
Kalau
way to
misalnya
actually
musuh
win is
ini.
to play in the most
Gua nggak tahu.
optimized manner possible. And honestly, in some ways, I really like that, but there's something
si
missing from it
Wilder
that
punya
makes
itu
it kind of
skill.
boring.
Oh,
I don't
skill.
really know
Yang
how
api
to
gede
say
itu.
it either. I like quick experiences. I talked about this in the Precinct BYB. I like dropping in and playing like 20
ini
minutes,
yang dia
40
lawan
minutes,
ini,
and then
itu Night Lord.
that's it.
Ini.
That's something I like. So in theory, this should be the kind of Elden Ring I can keep playing for a long time. But there's just something just
Paling
not
lucu itu
there. I was
Infinite
getting
Heal.
pretty sick of this map before
Nggak
actually finishing the
healing
game, to be
terus
honest. And I have to imagine there's a lot of
Wait,
other players
is
that are going
it?
to feel
No,
the same
it's
way.
not infinite. There's only like 5. You only have 5.
I don't know how, as it is right now, it retains playing in the long term. On one hand, I do
Gua nggak tahu
get
ya,
it. You
soalnya
can't
waktu
really
itu
have
ada
these
cooldown.
maps be
Sekarang gua nggak tahu
procedurally generated
dia
with how
ganti
they
atau enggak.
work. You need to have
Ini
them
kan
carefully
soalnya
designed to
bonfire di
actually be
mana-mana.
fun to move through and
Ya bonfire di mana-mana.
be manageable
Itu
to
bisa
some
langsung ini.
extent.
Tapi
But they could have at
dulu
least
sih
given us some
mereka sampai
different
cooldown loh.
biomes or some radically different
Pas gua nonton.
layouts with some different
Dia
structures.
kasih
and
cooldown, jadi
boss
lu
fights
pakai
to mix
dulu
things up.
kan.
I mean,
Terus misalnya
maybe
if
they
you
could
not
put
invade, dia
another
baru
enemy type
start tuh
or
cooldownnya
something as a
pelan-pelan
treat.
turun.
I know
Terus dia
From
tambahin
are
satu
kind of the
gitu
masters
pelan-pelan
of
maksudnya.
reusing assets at this point, but seriously, almost everything in this game is reused from Elden Ring. All the weapons, locations, bosses,
Dude,
enemies.
I want
It's
to know, is sleeping build gonna be viable in this game?
Enggak
You
lah,
know,
I don't
in
think so.
Elden Ring, sleeping is basically useless.
all plugged directly from the original game with only a few minor modifications.
Cuma
And I don't-
salah satunya
I don't
mereka
want to
bilang
say
tuh yang
that's like
paling
the
mereka nggak
biggest
suka itu
detriment
jumping,
in the
the
world.
jumping
Because I think in theory you probably
availability.
could describe
Kayak
like
misalnya
a
kalau
good
ketereng
version,
itu ada
like
beberapa
an
walls yang
excellent version
sebenarnya
of this game
game itu
as
ngebug,
that.
nggak
It's
mau
just
naik
not
atas
there.
ya,
And when
karakternya
it's
susah.
not there, all of the reused stuff feels
They probably
not
just
great.
gonna fix
You've
it when the game come out.
seen it in a
Yeah.
similar context. It's used in a similar
Cuma
way. It
itu pas
doesn't
lagi
feel new.
beta.
The only thing that really
Beta tapi
feels
udah
new
full
is the
full
Night
itu
Lords,
udah full
and those
masuk.
are the
Cuma
things you see
mereka
released
gua
because
masukin
you
si
have to slog
Revenant-nya
through
doang.
40 minutes of reruns
Nah,
to
ini
get
nih,
to them.
Night Lord
And that's what
nih.
it feels like,
Udah.
reruns. I'm not
Ini
saying
yang
that's
D3
inherently
nih.
what reused assets and stuff are. It's not. To be frank, with a few minor tweaks, I think this probably could be a pretty different game that does actually fix some of these problems. And sure, it's only $40, but even that feels a little bit high for how much you're actually getting here. And problems that plagued the original Elden Ring, they are still here. The stuttering, if anything, it's a little worse here. I played it on a PS5 Pro, and the the frame rate dipping is like borderline absurd at times. There's no reason for Elden Ring proper to run like this on PS5 Pro, let alone a pared down experience. I guess when it's single player also it's maybe a little easier to overlook the frame rate, but with multiplayer,
dia mainnya jarak jauh tapi damage-nya gede, darahnya kecil.
Unacceptably bad at times.
Gua udah pikirin,
So I
kayaknya
guess to
sama
wrap
nih.
up,
I
I
think
went
this
into
also
Night
apply
Rain
to it.
really wanting to like it. I love the idea of a multiplayer co-op, focused Souls-like, and I can't say that I dislike it or even that I don't like it, but it just doesn't come together properly. It's both too slow and too fast at the same time. It's too complex for new players.
I really think the Executioner is probably just gonna be like the hardest one.
Iya, tapi darahnya dia banyak.
Iya.
Dia darahnya hampir sama kayak si itu, tapi dikit ke bawah lah sama si Guardian lah.
That's
Soalnya
why
dia emang kan dia emang fokusnya itu nge-deflect, nge-stun. Apa bukan nge-stun apa namanya? Dia kayak
parry to be an Elden Ring
parry. Dia fokusnya parry. Jadi dia harusnya agak nge-tank.
Atau enggak repost lah.
that's why
Yeah,
maybe
repost,
I'm
yeah.
gonna play him first, like the hardest one first.
From minute one,
Nah, lu
with
main
a
yang
very
easy dulu
rudimentary
lah.
tutorial that
Ngapain
only
lu main
explains like the
dulu?
most basic
Udah
stuff.
main aja yang lo demen, main yang lo demen.
Basic
gitu
for a
deh.
multiplayer
Ya,
game.
yang
You're
lu
supposed to
demen
play
aja.
over and
Gue
over
juga
again.
nggak apa-apa
It
main
is a fun
Skuter juga
game
nggak apa-apa,
for the
main
initial
aja.
few hours.
Usually I use like the hardest class plus first.
Gue yang
Trying to
pasti
play with,
tutorial.
because trying to play this thing
Gue
at
pasti
random's
buka
gonna be
itu dulu,
real.
practice sama
it's
tutorial
a
dulu. Gue mau
nightmare.
coba dulu
It can
nih
just
di
sail
ini
super
kayak
quick.
gimana.
I do think the
Jadi gua
game
tahu timingnya
represents
butuhnya
a very good
kayak
idea,
gimana.
and if
Udah
you go
biasa
into it with the
baru,
right
gampang.
mindset and a solid group of friends,
gue tadi
you're gonna
pernah
have a
nonton
good
tuh satu orang
time.
tuh.
But you gotta know what it
Sampai
is, and you
dia
gotta
tuh,
want that thing.
dia buttonnya
And to be
nggak
frank, it could
kebiasaan.
be a lot more
Dia nge-switch
with a
out, switch
little
in tuh
more.
weapon-weapon
You know what I mean?
dimasukin
I might be being a little
apa
harsh
namanya?
here, but for me,
Shit, the
Night
store
Rain is a
tuh
bit. It's
dikeluarin
just a
lagi,
bit of a
tuh,
By the way,
keluar lagi dia sampai pusing.
Snow, if we like finish like the night kill the night, are we gonna keep the weapon?
No, we're not gonna keep the weapon.
I'm not saying it can't
So
get
it's
better.
gonna be new every game.
Yeah,
It's
always new.
roguelite. It's roguelite.
From
Dodo,
very
it's
easily
roguelite.
could take
Jadi lu
this
udah selesai
into
match
great
ini, lu
territory
dapat reward kamu,
relatively
gems
quickly.
kamu,
It doesn't
duit
need like a
kamu,
full.
udah.
I
Lu
think
udah
it's gonna
start
be
from the
like
beginning, tapi lu harus tahu, tapi lu kan lebih tahu kayak item ini nih bagus nih. Gua kalau bisa ketemu ke item ini gua ambilin lagi gitu.
I think it's gonna be like Tarkov, you know, like extraction.
Enggak kayak Tarkov.
Carry the
And
weapon.
it does have its positives. I love the designs
Yeah,
of the
you don't
night
get the
lords. The
weapon,
returning
but what
bosses
you
are a real
get is the
nostalgia kick.
gems.
But the
The gems
interesting
is something that
concept
you
of
get
the
from
fun
the game.
character powers, it's all held down by this very
And you can use the gems
limited
to
world and very
set up your character
repetitive
before
gameplay,
you start the
which
match.
it's built into the core concept, so
Dia
it's
kasih lu
going to
buff
be
gitu aja.
like
Kayak
that,
gua
but
bikin
again,
gua
with
punya
a
ulti
few
lebih damage gede,
modifications.
dexterity
We're
gua
talking about a
naikin
really
gitu.
salvageable game that could be turned into something, honestly, I even think great. It just needs more
Tapi
work. They
harusnya
need to make the
sih game ini
experience
sih harusnya
something
nggak
that
sesusah
can vary from game
nggak
to game,
sesusah
run to run.
Elden
Because it
banget
doesn't
ya
really.
maksudnya.
I mean,
Soalnya
you
mereka udah
could just
bikin
give us a
lebih
co-op mode
gampang
one of
lah.
these damn games without any time limit.
Ini
Yeah,
susahnya
that's what
karena
people
harus
want.
ngebut-ngebut.
But also, if I'm
Ya,
completely
ngebut-ngebut
frank,
doang
I
sih,
want them
ya.
to make this into the good version of this because there's
Gua sih
so
nggak
much
apa-apa
good
kalau
stuff
game kayak
here.
gini.
It just
Udah
needs,
biasa
there needs to be
gua
more of it.
mainin.
It needs to
Iya, roguelite.
play out
Gue juga
differently,
demen
run to
game
run.
roguelite.
That's it. That's kind of the main
Code Vein gua
problems. And
main, AI
they're
limit gua
big
coba
enough
battle
problems
pass-nya,
that
gua main
it's
ini.
a hindrance for a $40.
Gua main
It's just a
Bloodborne.
$40 game, but that's enough to
Banyak
hinder.
gua dulu.
It's enough
Dark
to
Souls
feel
juga
like,
gua main.
what if this is $25?
Tapi nggak sampai
You know,
tamat. Gua
25 bucks.
tapi
I
gua
think
lawan bos
I'd be a
gede-gede
lot more
sih, udah
forgiving.
pernah.
That's not even a huge price. That's $15.
Sama
But
Code
with
gua
what
juga
we're getting
main.
here, it's not
Tapi
worth
Armor gua
it.
lebih
Not to
mudah
me.
lah.
We'll see what From
Beda
does with it.
soalnya
I hope
katanya.
that they're willing to stick with it and make it into what it should be, but we'll see. What do you think, though? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week.
$40. So he got problem with $40.
Executor is one of
Price
the 8
tag.
playable characters in Elden Ring Night
Jadi
Rain.
ini cuma
His passive
ngertiin
ability
dulu
allows him to
apa itu
receive
Elden
both
Ring.
regen and attack damage
Ya.
boost and poise damage
Oh,
boost.
eksekutor
and
skinnya
healing
keren
from
sih yang
status
terakhir
bonuses.
Darkness.
Ooh,
Khusus
Tennis.
Character art
City.
allows him to unsheath a cursed sword, which allows him to deflect enemy attacks.
Iya, dia tuh anti itu kena sisi gede susah dia.
Primordial beast, a
Kan
very
parry fokusnya.
being that allows him to perform very hard-hitting attacks. Executor is one of the
Oh,
Lu harus lihat skinnya sih itu tuh eksekutor punya Darkness di Night Rain. Keren, Cok.
let's see, is there anything else full solo? Oh, somebody actually already doing solo 1 hour
Iya.
ago.
So I've heard. Let you guys decide whether
Tapi
or not you think
almost
it's going to
impossible,
be
bukan berarti
impossible
it's not
to do
possible
a
ya.
solo
Bisa, cuma susah.
It's honestly, I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's just going to take some time to just understand the routing and understand some of the bosses.
Solo bisa if you want to
But
challenge yourself,
I'll
tapi nggak gampang.
give you guys a
Itu
glimpse
aja.
into like my thought process and how I approach all the days and stuff.
Gua sih gua nggak mau
starting in,
solo, gua pasti mau
automatically
trio.
just try and kill all the enemies directly in front of
Ngapain
you.
gua susahkan diri
Because
sendiri
they'll always
untuk
end
main
up
game.
giving you enough rooms to
mending
be able to
main
level up
have
once,
fun gua.
and leveling up the first time is the most important alternate level because it gives you.
Okay, you guys watching this? I'm going to toilet.
Dia pakai skinnya Dark Soul tuh.
basically like twice as much health.
That's
to be able
Atreus,
to
if I
just
remember.
take
Like,
these. For the first point of interest.
Back though, I need to go to toilet, you guys. Just keep watching.
You don't really have many opportunities of weapons. You get like seals though, which is obviously not that useful because we're playing with the Wilder. Just decided to pick this guy because pretty basic and simple, nothing too flashy. He is unironically one of the better characters though, for solo play specifically. Actually, overall, but yeah. Can I please interact with the Grace? Yeah, because he does get like an extra life with his passive. He gets like a get out of jail free card, and he has like a very high damaging ult and a way to traverse the map quickly, which is very much appreciated.
Gua udah nggak makan lagi. Udah kenyang gua.
And get more levels.
Gua barusan makan soalnya.
It's gonna be a regular fort. It's gonna be a regular base.
Gila, makan jam segini.
This is actually one of the larger ones. Okay, so this particular fort actually does either spawn in a golem or a crystallion. Either one, they're both pretty easy to kill, but yeah, these types of points of interest like the ruins and these little forts, they're the kind of ones you're supposed to attack day one. Also, in this chest over here, there is a very good chance that it spawns in a stone sword key. Yes, I don't know why, but this chest, more so than anything else, just has a chance of spawning in a stone sword key. And I don't really know why. None of them else like really work that way. Okay, can I please make my way out of here? They trapped me perfectly. Move. Might as well just kill him. Since they're one shot, I can't lock onto this game, I suck. We're just gonna go up and kill the golem. Now, the golems, they can die pretty easily, assuming you can get a stance break. I basically have my ultimate attack. Just go use it, why not? If we damage enough trash mobs, it's gonna immediately result in a stance break in solo play. Okay, that was... Okay, thank you From Software. Okay, normally, I would just get a critical attack and he would die because a critical attack against a golem does like 70% of his health. But whatever. He dies anyway. Okay, we're just gonna go with the flambeaux here. Okay, actually we'll go away so I can actually look at what I'm trying to get rid of. But yeah, as you see, like the enemies just be a bit more passive in solo play when you're fighting somebody else. They just don't really attack you. What am I get rid of? Improved chain attack finishes. It's kind of useless. Defeating enemies restores HP, fire damage negation. Get rid of that. I'm not going to be using spells anyway because the Wilder does not get that good of an interfaith scaling. Nothing here that I need. Let's go level up if we can. And then move it to the next point of interest. There is like a tornado thing that's spawning directly in front of me, but that's definitely meant for day 2. They have like a lot of health. Like honestly, kind of end of day 2. Actually, what we should be doing is going towards the churches. These are probably the most important things. So we actually might go up first to the top church. Wait, is there a... Okay, we got that one. Yeah. Because the churches house your healing flasks, which are arguably the most important item in the game, because you don't really start off with many. As you can see, 3, and you're going to find the other 3 churches to get a total of 6, but you can get a bit more than that, and I don't really understand how sometimes, but sometimes the game just gives you more, and I haven't figured out exactly why it happens. This is a holy village? Yeah, it's a holy ruin, so it should be either Albinorix here, or... I don't know what else spawns in a holy village. Yeah, it's Albinorix. This is a pretty simple kill, so any single time you come up against these ruins, just check out what boss is there. If it's something that's pretty easy, you think you can kill, then just go ahead. Sometimes, you know, you can get things like Zamoranites, which are obviously more challenging than just these larger Albinorix with a club. Because these guys can get stance broken pretty easily and staggered easily, unlike the Zamoranites. But there is 3 of them here, so it can be somewhat time-consuming, which is one of the challenges of solo mode. But thankfully the 2 are right next to each other here. So you have to run across the entire map just to find them. And the circles spawn directly on top of us, which honestly I did not really want. I kind of wanted the circle to be away from me so I can actually like run towards it and clear up more points of interest. Always spam your consumables when you get the chance, because you get so many consumables in this game. The game does constantly just keep throwing stuff at you. It doesn't even matter to spam them all. Can I please not die? Thank you. But yeah, as you can see, the having more flasks is obviously really important because I already have like none. So you gotta make sure that that's like one of the first things that you do, if not the first thing. Holy damage negation, add holy to the weapon. Well, I kind of do need a bow because I am going to be fighting Libra, but I might get that later. I can grab more opportunities. Stance breaking is actually pretty important, so can't go wrong with that. By the way, if you are in like a particular element of ruin that you kind of want to get a weapon of, so like if you have like a faith-based character, I recommend just trying out opening up all the chests in this particular ruins in hopes that you do find like a holy-based weapon. Because yeah, these themed-based areas do have weapons for that particular element. And it's obviously it comes in handy when you fight particular bosses or Night Lord bosses that have a certain weakness. So what we're playing is a Wilder, which is like a character that has like a really high quality scaling, so it doesn't really matter what we use, and he doesn't have like a good intelligence or faith scaling, so it doesn't really matter about the element. Just whatever does the highest damage is best for this guy. There really isn't anything in particular. But yeah, as you can see, you get so many opportunities to just have consumables and other random stuff. Just constantly spam them. Yeah, unfortunately we're not gonna be able to get another healing flask right now, so unfortunately it's gonna be like a day 2 task. I mean, I can run inside there and try and pick it up. Run inside the storm, I mean, or the rain. Would it be the worst thing? I was gonna clear out this ruins instead. Let me jump. What are these? It's not a themed one, so it's either going to be was it themes? This is a lightning based one. Okay, cool. So it's the Beastman. Okay, I kind of want to get that golden pickled foulfoot because when you kill a boss and just pop it, it's just going to give you a bunch more runes. So I'll just consume this for some reason. More chances of a drop rate, can't hurt anybody. Give me a backstab. They're next to each other, perfect time for an ult. These are the only 2 bosses in this section, so charged heavy attack for a horizontal swipe, get them both. Simple stuff. We're getting lots of chances to get bows, but I would like to go with the stamina cost. Because I'm already going to use a bow to clear out the sigils that spawn in the boss fight. You'll see it later. If I end up making it to day 3, which I should. I've played this game enough times. What do I have now? I do have a poison-based weapon. I should be using my flamberge. I don't know why I haven't been doing that. That's gonna just do more damage and actually get bleed. So that's pretty handy. We do have a stone sword key. I forgot about that. So you can actually go picked up. Now, ever jails and like field bosses ends the middle building are kind of meant for day 2. So I don't really do them for day 1. But you can do them like towards the end, and it depends on the boss. So I can just consume this stone sword key and see what this boss is. If it's something simple, I can fight it. If not, I can come back in day 2. Because it's always going to be here. Even if I do damage to it, it's going to come back here. I have a parrying shield, and I'm fighting a crucible knight. It was meant to be. Okay, monkey, can you please go away? Let me parry the boss. Now, Evangels are actually pretty good because they're always like guaranteed to give you like something to do with runes. So either like a handful of runes or like more negation. Did I just parry the boss and the weapon hit? I've never seen it in my life. I just parried the boss and the backward swing of the sword hit the monkey and he died. I just killed a monkey because I parried someone. I think that's what happens. I might be wrong. But the thing is, if you die to bosses in this game, they're still gonna have the exact same amount of health. So it's not like an Elden Ring or a Dark Souls. I could have healed there, but you know, I was being greedy. I was confident. Wait, they don't get like their health back when you end up dying, so you end up just losing a level. But
hello,
when you drop your runes, oh, these are both really good.
Hello, Snow, Azure. They already gone. What the hell?
Gradual flask restoration by a flask. So what this actually does, it makes it like gradually heal over time, like in Dark Souls 2, but it does give you a lot more healing, or 20,000. Unheard of.
What? Dude, my freaking... Oh my god. No, 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 no. My camera died. Setting. Oh, come on. My thing broken. Fudge.
I'll go with the better healing though. I'd rather have the better healing. Because like, it's only going to make the day 1 a bit easier. The day 2 is not going to be that different. I might end up getting like 1 extra level, but I'd rather have the better healing. Is there another place that I haven't been to?
Oh, dude, I need to...